We're going to call the Star City Council meeting to order. It's Tuesday, April 20th, 2021 at 7 p.m. Can I ask everybody to please stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance with me? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Tonight, we're going to have the invocation by Mr. Dustin here. Thank you, sir.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dustin Tessnier. I'm a youth pastor down at Star Community Church, and I'm part of an interfaith group that has been selected to do these invocations. So I'm going to read us a brief passage out of Corinthians, and then we'll say a brief word of prayer. 2 Corinthians 9, 6 through 8. Remember this, whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows generously will also reap generously. Each of you should give what you have decided in your heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. And God is able to bless you abundantly, so that in all things, at all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work. Bow your heads with me. Dear Father, we're just so grateful for this time and this community that you've brought together this evening in Star, Idaho. Jesus, I just want to ask you to bless every person here, whether they're one of the government bodies or whether they're just a concerned citizen wanting to plead their case. Father, we're just here together to serve you, Jesus, and we just want everyone to be blessed. I pray that you would just protect our little community of Star, that we would be diligent and consistent in the way that we use its resources and take into account all ideas, Father. I pray that you would just, in the same way that you bless the city, that the glory would go to you, Father. And I'm just so thankful that we're able to have these meetings and to make these decisions, Father. It's a good problem to have. I pray that you just be with everyone as they consider what's on the table tonight, and that this meeting would be ordained and sealed up as it ends, and everything would go forward in your time. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Mr. Hershey.
Here.
Mr. Keys. Present. Mr. Chadwick.
Here.
Ms. Samuelson.
Here.
Nielsen.
Present.
There you go.
Okay, all present and accounted for. We'll move on to public input. Can I get the public input sheet, Miss Barbara? Thanks for everybody for showing up, man. Name another city where you can actually sit and join and be close together, right? Okay, on the public input, again, this is just standard public input on anything relating to Star except for what's on the public hearings tonight. So I'm gonna call your name and you just let me know if you have something to say up here. You can come up, you got 3 minutes, okay? I got Cody Hunter. No? Okay. Is that Mark and Tammy Cron? It's on the other hearing, okay? Did you sign up on the other sheet? Okay, very good, thank you. Miss, is it Ava Blue? I got an EVE, I think.
ERB, Blue.
Blue?
I signed up on
Okay. Well, I have to wait to the public hearing to listen to you for the public hearing portion. Yes, sir. Thank you. That's a good way, though, to try to get it done, right? I have Lance Mounds. Okay.
I signed the wrong one.
Okay. Did you sign up on the other one?
Nope.
Okay, go get signed up on that one. Very good. And Jeff Harris. Okay, good. We are done with the public input portion. So we'll move on to the committee reports. Mr. John, you want to come up and talk about transportation and pathways?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is John Tenson, Chairman of the Transportation and Pathways Committee, 538 South Selwood Lane, Star, Idaho. On the transportation side, we really haven't had any significant activities since we met with you last month, but we are awaiting hearing from ACHD on our integrated 5-year work plan project request. We expect the first draft of that in the middle of July. On the pathways side of the committee, we're working on a master plan. Kind of the steps that I think we'll go through will be to inventory existing pathways, walk the canals and ditches to identify possible future pathway routes, identify other routes such as along the river and Highway 44, and then compile a map as a first draft of the pathways master plan, and then bring that to the council for review. We'll also, along the pathways end of it, be working with the city of Eagle and Middleton, trying to achieve a master agreement with the ditch companies, the Middleton Mill and the Foothills Ditch Company, to allow for pathways to be on the ditches. Another thing we worked on earlier this month in our normal meeting, we reviewed possible grants that we want to submit for Compass. We met with the mayor, with Mr. Mayor, Councilperson Salmonson and Keys, along with the city engineer Ryan Morgan and Tina Wilson. We identified 5 projects that we felt we wanted to submit on, listed in priority order. First one would be to do the pathway design for a pathway that goes from Floating Feather to the Star Middle School along the west side of the cemetery. A lot of the right of way has been acquired already. Want to get that preliminary design so we know what we're dealing with, and then hopefully get some grant opportunities or find funding to do that project. Second priority would be the feasibility study for extension and paving of the Star River Walk pathway. Find out what constraints there are in terms of Corps of Engineers, FEMA, right of way, that type of thing. Third priority would be to perform a downtown parking study, especially with the widening of State Highway 44. We're going to lose possible parking spaces there, and try to figure out where parking would occur. Fourth priority, there will be a lot of work on State Highway 44, State Street, that will complete a lot of the sidewalks. What this grant would do is kind of evaluate what's left after those projects are done, with a goal of getting sidewalks on both sides of Highway 44, all the way from Highway 16 to Canada Road. So we'll just see what gaps are left and how much that would cost. Then the last priority would be to have put together a City of Star transportation master plan. So that would be all inclusive of roads, pathways, trails. And I think that's, talking to Tina Wilson, the grant person, so that's kind of a fundamental first thing that helps you achieve some of these grant opportunities. That grant application to Compass is due May 4th. I was kind of assigned to Ryan and Tina to put those together. Unfortunately, we got such a tight timeline on that, we probably won't get a chance to review them with the council. But if we're successful in any of those grants, the council will have the opportunity to either approve it or reject it. So, and we're not committing the city to anything that by submitting those. So with that completes my report.
I do have some letters for you from those landowners up there by the school too.
Okay.
So
Great.
for that.
So
grant
perfect.
purpose. Okay. Any questions?
Thank you, John.
Thank you, sir. Okay, on the Parks, Art and Beautification Committee, Mr. Matt's working the night, so we won't have a report from them. I believe, is Dana Barbara online?
I'm here, Mr. Mayor. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. Yeah, go ahead and speak towards the Activities Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council members. My name is Dana Partridge with, 11330 West 2nd Street, and I am the chair of the Activities Committee. I apologize, I can't be there this evening. Our committee met on April 15th. We're still discussing mainly the hometown celebration. We finalized the schedule at that meeting. So now our next steps will be to put together all of the marketing materials. So you will start to see things being populated on our website, start seeing banners around town, things in the Star Spirit magazine. So start looking for that. We are also working to update our liability waiver with the city's insurance company, ICRIM, and we'll be updating our parade applications and our vendor applications with that information once that is done. As far as future events, we have the garden tour on May 22nd. We have our first monthly city concert on June 11th, co-hosting with SWIDBA. And on June 25th, we'll have our first movie night of the season. But I want to go back to hometown for a minute and say something, specifically thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have been doing this now. This is our 11th hometown celebration. I've been a part of it since I think the second one. Never in the history of this event has this ever not been paid for, not by the city. We've always kind of had to have a line item on the budget for hometown. I tasked you, Mr. Mayor, with trying to help me to gain sponsors and have this event paid for. I gave you a goal of $35,000. Not only did you surpass that goal in 2 weeks, in just that short amount of time, you have raised $45,000. So I just wanted to thank you. Awesome work, awesome job. And our committee is so excited about hometown this year.
Well, thank you.
That's all I
We're
have.
excited for it too. I think we're all ready.
Yes, we
Partying
are.
a little bit out here.
Does anyone have any questions?
Anybody have any questions of Miss Dana?
How can I learn how to task the mayor?
Ask him what I did.
Yeah. Thank you, Dana.
Thank you so much.
Do we have Miss Savannah here from there you are, from our Mayor's Youth Council? So she's a little nervous, so. Just talk about what you're doing for the hometown celebration stuff up here.
Okay.
And pull the microphone down for me.
Is that better?
Yes?
Okay. Hello everybody. I'm Savannah. I am from Mayor's Youth Council. So for the hometown celebration, we're basically talking about the raffle and what will be going on with that. We were talking about the biggest prizes and then details with that, and then the smaller prizes as well. We were communicating with each other about going out and talking to businesses about asking them for gift baskets so that they can get some advertising in, and that we can use those as smaller prizes for the raffle as well. And other things we were talking about the hometown celebration t-shirts, and I want to say swag, but not also like merchandise. And the STARS Mayor's Youth Council, we will be the exclusive provider of those t-shirts. And then we were talking about maybe like not the first three Saturdays, but the 3 Saturdays before the actual celebration, we'll be out with booths around the city selling these t-shirts. And there was a possibility of also selling raffle tickets with the t-shirts so that we could do that as well together. And then there's also the possibility of hats, but we did not decide on that yet. And then just a little bit more with that, we're mainly focusing on the raffle, but then we know that we're going to be helping on Sunday morning or just throughout the hometown celebration with games and other things that we can do as the youth council. And then other things, the possible fundraising that we could do with the t-shirts as well and the raffle tickets. Also selling other things, other smaller things like maybe glow sticks on the night of the fireworks or nights, I don't know which. And then continuing, I guess not continuing, but being able to do that. So another way of fundraising. And then something else. And then for us as a group, as incentive, I guess, to work with and then I guess do and be involved with the raffle. We are having our own raffle too, and there will be prizes for us to help us, like, I guess, provide motivation for us to do this and work as well.
Cool. Do you have any questions of Miss Savannah?
Mayor Chat, I do.
Okay.
So if a business wants to donate an item for the raffle, what do they do?
Communicate with us. Our advisor is Julie Olson, or I guess communicate with either Julie or one of us. We can go talk to them about it and communicate and see what they can provide us.
Okay, so contact info on the city website.
I believe so. I can double check that.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Mayor Chadwick,
Yes.
how many people are on our Mayor's Youth Council this year?
How many people? When we all come, there's about 10 of us. but that doesn't happen all the time. So typically we're around 5 or 6.
And all ages, or most of you seniors, or?
Most of us are actually the two of us who come most of the time are sophomores, and then we have the youngest member who's come a couple times is in 7th grade, and we have a couple of seniors as well.
Fantastic. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Sounds like you have a good plan.
Thank you.
It's a good blend, and they're raising money for everybody who's not aware, it's for the youth scholarship. We give out every year for citizens, residents of Star, $1,500 up to $1,500 scholarships for the seniors, regardless of what school they go to. So they can go to Renaissance, Eagle, be a Waihe next year, whatever, Ambrose, doesn't matter. But it's a great program. I think we had 7 kids apply this year. And that's something I want to make sure that everybody's aware of so we can get it out, because I want the more the merrier. The more scholarships we can provide for these kids, the better it is, I think, in the long run. So appreciate you. Thank you for coming up and doing that. I kind of asked them this morning to do it, and she volunteered. So that's what we want to see. So good job. Thank you.
Thank you, Savannah. Good job.
Okay, on to the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Keys.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda consisting of item 6A, approval of claims provided, and item 6B, final plats for Trident Ridge subdivision phase 4 with one addition to the final plat approval. There was a little bit of confusion in the staff report for that. And to clarify that, I'd like to add an additional condition of approval that the dedication of the parkland will happen in phase 5.
You got that, Sean? Okay, we got a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the consent agenda is approved. We're going on to item 7, the public hearings. The Lauren Estate subdivision and annexation. We're going to be tabling that, so we'll have to have Chris, are you on?
I'm on, Mayor.
So on this, do I need to open the public hearing before we table it? We have to table
You
this
don't have to
because
open the
it
public
wasn't.
hearing.
I'm sorry,
Um,
say that again.
Since you're not hearing anything, you don't need to open the public hearing, but you do need to continue it to a date certain.
Okay, so we're gonna table it to May 4th, 2021. The property was not properly posted. And so that had to get posted correctly.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen.
I move that we continue the public hearing for Loran Estate subdivision annexation development agreement, short plat and private street to May 4th, 2021.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the Lauren Estates has been moved to May 4th, 2021. Okay, we're going to do the Paint Point subdivision, short plat and private street first. I'm gonna make a little change here because everybody's here for the other one. And we don't want these guys to wait for a long time. So do we have, there we are, sir. We have the applicant here for the Paint Point, short plat and private street. I'm gonna let everybody know the public hearing process. This is applied through the night. I'm going to open the public hearing. I'm going to ask the council if there's any ex parte contact or communication. The applicant has up to 20 minutes to present their project. The council can ask the applicant questions and staff questions during that time frame. We'll have public testimony and you'll get 3 minutes per person to speak. Those for the project will speak first. Those against will speak second. And those who are neither for or against will speak after that. During that 3 minutes, about 10 seconds before the end of the 3 minutes, I'll let you know when you're there. Council may ask the individual speaking follow-up questions that does not count towards their 3 minutes. Then the applicant gets to come up and rebut for about 10 minutes. The council is going to ask the applicant staff questions. I'll close the public hearing at that point and the council will deliberate. They're going to make, council either make a motion to approve of the conditions, deny, or table the application to a date certain in the future. So I'm glad everybody showed up. Those hearings are, those notes are on the back of the agenda if you haven't seen that. Public hearings could get emotional. We completely get that, but try to keep it in check. We don't want any out speaking and stuff like that out here. in the audience. So I appreciate everybody coming tonight. So with that said, I'm going to ask the council if you have any, I'm going to open the public hearing. I'm going to ask the council if there's any ex parte communication or contact on the Pain Point.
No, Mr. Mayor.
No,
None.
sir.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Keys? I'm sorry, Councilman Nielsen? I apologize.
Mr. Mayor, I task you to learn my name.
I will. Did you hear that, Dana? I got tasked.
No ex parte contact. I do want to disclose that I live within the notification boundary of this applicant or this property in question here tonight. I did not attend any of the public meetings on this, and I am fully capable of participating in the hearing.
Okay, thank you. Any other? Okay, hearing none. The floor is yours, sir.
Hi, Mayor. I'm here to bring back Paint Point to do a R2 zoning. I have withdrawn my application for the R5.
Oh, you state your name and address, please, for the record.
Rick Williams, 11275 Floating Feather Road, Star, Idaho, 83616. Or 83669, excuse me.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
So I've been here a few times before. We were trying to get more housing through the process. We've met with the homeowners in the area, made some adjustments. I think Sean Nichols has went through and reviewed everything that we've done. I think we have his blessing behind what he thinks we should do for our zoning. I'm asking for the council to give me the go ahead and move forward with this project on my short plat and final plat tonight. I think you guys have you been able to review what we're doing at this time and changing the plat over from the 9 lots down to the 4?
That's correct. This is the correct
Correct.
one. right, Sean? Yeah.
Yes, sir. So we're doing a hammerhead coming in straight across from the other subdivision. We're going to put a fire hydrant. The fire chief asked us to put one on the west side of the entrance, or excuse me, on the east side of the entrance. And then we're going to put a light on the west side of the entrance. And then we're going to he's asked us to sprinkler lot number 2. Other than that, he had no issues with the plat. So anybody have any questions so far about that?
Any questions of the applicant?
Just one, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Hershey?
You said sprinkler, you mean internal sprinklers on the structure?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He was concerned with getting down that alleyway and then to make this work and do the hammerhead. And I'm so limited because of the irrigation canal. It's just really pushing us at that, especially at lot, what we call 4. I'm just having a real problem trying to get a decent sized house on that. I've taken this from spreading out over a lot to trying to push it down to 4, and I'm running into some issues with lot size. You can sort of see where the irrigation, the dotted line coming around the irrigation canal, that's actually where the building envelope is. Everything closer to the canal is their right of way. So I can't, impede into that area with it. So you can see that one lot is really small.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any further questions of the applicant?
Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to wait unless the applicant's done. I do have some questions, but I'm happy to let him continue.
I go ahead and ask questions and I can move forward after your questions.
Of course. Yeah.
Okay,
go ahead.
absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay, so I know this question was asked at an earlier hearing, but just to get this on the record, can you explain to us why you're asking for a private street instead of a public road?
ACHD would not take up that small area and turn it into a public road. They said it needed to be a private street. They denied that request. There was a letter, I believe, issued to Sean that he has in his file showing that request.
And then in the staff report and in the narrative, there was a discussion that there was no open space proposed.
Correct.
And can you just briefly tell us what your thinking is there, why you don't, why we should approve this when it's not in compliance with our open space ordinance?
Where would I put open space on those lots? I mean, with the 4 lots, there's nowhere to add any open space. I have I have all the backside of that irrigation ditch is open area and a buffer. Open space is basically for buffer, so you're not just encroaching on everybody around you. And I've lost the whole backside of that property to the irrigation right away. And then I've got the hammerhead and I have to have access to the property. I only have the one easement into the property. I can't do another approach anywhere on the other lots.
Is it required on an R2 to have open space?
Mr. Mayor and Council, the applicant can request a reduction waiver of the open space given the lower density per your acceptance.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councilman Key, sorry.
No, that's all I was looking for. It's just the justification for that request. And I think you've responded to that. And then, the final question I have really has to do, you heard our Transportation Committee Chair earlier mention the Pathways Plan here in the city. And one of our routes that we're potentially looking at is along the Middleton Mill Canal. And would you consent to an item in the development agreement that if the city chooses a route along the Middleton Mill Canal, that you would allow an easement to the city for a 10-foot wide pathway through the Middleton Mills easement?
Part of the Mills easement, not part of you don't want to build any of the.
It would totally be within their easement.
Yeah, I don't believe would I have any argument about that? Okay, I got to shrug. Not really. How's that?
Okay, thank you.
I
That's all I
would
have. for now.
entertain that idea for sure.
Okay.
Mr.
Any-
Mayor,
Yeah.
point of clarification, it would be condition of approval for the plat. There is no development agreement.
Okay.
Application.
So then you would consent to adding that as a condition of approval.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any further questions of the applicant?
Hey, Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Nielsen.
I almost forgot your name. Just a clarification for Councilman Keys, regarding this canal, I believe it's tiled on both ends. So are we really considering putting a pathway along that? Do we need to make that a condition of approval on this?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman?
so we're looking at routes for pathways through the entire city,
Right.
which are along these canals, and whether they're tiled or not. If we choose to not put the pathway where it's tiled and only have it where it's not tiled, then we're going to end up with gaps and we won't have a contiguous pathway through the city. So that's why we're looking. And in fact, there are other examples where we have pathways along tiled ditches. An example would be the Flake Ditch directly west of Star Road is tiled, and there's a paved pathway on top of it.
But isn't everything to the south at my property on the other side of the canal? Because that one corner back behind lot 4, that's ACHD property, and that's got an easement along it, and that continues all the way through. This is just a small, if you went back to the top picture, it's just a small little area. So that wouldn't be I'm just saying, I don't think that would give us an easement. If you were going to do that, you'd be on the south side and running the whole length of the other subdivision and through there. Because this is just a little loop.
Yeah, looking at the satellite view, it looks like the axis currently is on the north side of the canal. So that I believe is what the Middleton Mill Ditch Company uses to access that. So.
I guess it's good. He's asking the question for the option, if it's something that we could do.
As an option.
As an option. Yeah.
Sure. As an option.
Okay. Any further questions? Did your question get answered?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. You have anything further to state?
Not at this time.
On your pathway easement, just obviously make it contingent with the middle trees.
Right.
Did-
It'd be contingent on the Middleton Mill, right? Because it
Agreeing.
can't be done unless they say so.
Correct.
Correct. Right.
Okay.
Okay.
I believe that's it.
Is that all I got, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Ask
I
for
only
your
have one
approval.
person sign up to speak on Paint Point, so you can take a seat there for a minute. Mr. Del Martins. State your name and address, sir, please.
My name is Del Martin. I live at 1586 North Wild Mustang Place in Star, right adjacent to the west side of the proposed development. The neighborhood to the west of that has had a number of concerns about this property when he first started out with so many houses. Currently, we do not object to the plan of 4 houses in that R2 subdivision. And we thank the council for their work, and I thank Rick Williams for finally seeing the light that that's what should be there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's, you what? All right, that's correct. And now the applicant can come back up and Did you have anything to rebut on that? No, you're good? Do you have anything further to say before I close?
I appreciate Dale being here.
Okay.
He told me to be here and I didn't believe him. God bless him.
All right. Any questions of the staff? From council? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. And we're going to move on to deliberations.
And Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Hershey.
thank you for your persistence and keep coming, and also it shows what happens when you work together and you get to a point. I was going to address the no open space in my mind for this situation is fine because these lots are truly a half acre. I mean, they're good sized lots. So you will have space in between and plenty of room to do, the homeowner can do many things with that type of land. I am in favor of this. And if there's no other comments, I say we just move forward.
Go ahead.
All right. And Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Hershey.
you learned to read. I move that we approve Paint Point subdivision short plat and private street with the conditions as stated and the possibility of the agreement with the ditch, the Middleton, I just forgot the irrigation company. But not a showstopper, but if it can work, it's great. And so we to approve the short plat and private street with those conditions. So the short plat, the private street, and that's it.
Okay, we got a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
Got a motion, a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Keys.
I'd like to ask Councilman Hershey to amend his motion to also include the grant of the variance on the open space.
So moved.
Okay.
And second.
Okay, so we got a motion and a second amended. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I,
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Thank you. Okay, real quick, before we move on to this other public hearing, did everybody sign up that wants to speak on the sheet back there? I want to make sure everybody has that opportunity. Okay. All right, so we're going to move on to the River Park subdivision and annexation. I'm going to open the public hearing. I'm going to ask the council, do you have any ex parte contact or communication regarding this project?
None.
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, hearing none, we will have representative from, who's speaking? You are? Okay. And we doing the PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Okay, hang on one sec here. Oh my goodness.
Choose no.
Sorry. Apparently we're doing an update in the middle of a public hearing.
Mayor, would you like me to talk about annexations while you're working on that?
Yes, sir. Chris, our city attorney is online to talk about annexations.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to talk through the process. I know that there's been some written comments submitted to the city, both by the general public and other agencies. But I just wanted to kind of give you my approach to this. Number one, annexations are always the discretion of a city. Other than the state tax commission, which will review an annexation to make sure like legal boundaries tie up and there's not a illegal shoestring annexation. Nobody else has control over whether or not the city annexes property or chooses not to annex property. It's purely in the city council's discretion. And that's established by state statute, Idaho Code 50-222. That's the established policy of the state of Idaho, and it's written there in the statute. Second, there is in Idaho Code 67-2526 language that says that before you can annex, there has to be an area of city impact established. As you all know, the city does have an area of city impact that has been established with Ada County. There's no requirement that the area of impact include multiple counties. It just says the city has to have an area of city impact, and it's been in place for years. And the city has annexed into Canyon County before, as you know, and that's been 10, 12, 15 years ago when that first started. So once you get past those two hurdles, there are three categories of annexation. The first is a category A, and that's where all the landowners basically have consented to annexation. In category B, there's two types there, where one is there's less than 100 ownerships. If not all of them have consented to annexation, or there's more than 100 and more than 50% have consented, then you're in a category B. In a category C, there's more than 100 ownerships and less than 50 have consented. So the process changes depending on how many owners of the land to be annexed have consented. Tonight, we're talking about a category A, which is normally what the city looks at. The others, the category Bs and Cs are typically what you might hear referred to as forced annexations. The category A's are voluntary annexations. And again, that's normally what the city sees, and that's what we have in front of us tonight. Under a category A annexation, this occurs when all the landowners have consented. And under the state code, it says that the annexation may extend beyond the city's area of impact, so long as the land is contiguous and within the comp plan map. And so those are really the two factors that you're looking at tonight. If the annexation goes outside the area of city of impact, which it legally can by statute, then it has to be contiguous to the city, and the comp plan has to include that area to be annexed. And then finally, the process on an annexation is, again, the annexation itself is discretionary. So the annexation tonight really is not part of the public hearing. The city council decides on its own whether or not it chooses to annex. And the state code clarifies that and says that once you've determined that the annexation requirements are met, then the city goes through the planning and zoning procedures that are in the Idaho Land Use Planning Act, which is the public hearing process to establish zoning. There may be changes to the comprehensive plan, and that's where the public hearing process kicks in. So I'm happy to answer any questions that the council may have regarding the process, but I thought it was helpful, particularly with some of the comments that have been received, to kind of walk through what that process looks like, just to refresh the council's memory on how the annexation process works.
Okay, any questions of Chris before we move forward?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Keys.
So I received a copy of a letter today that apparently was written yesterday from the Canyon County Commissioners. And near the bottom of that letter, they said, let's see, in addition to our request for a dialogue on these issues, we can also find no record of this board or other county stakeholders receiving the opportunity to comment on this specific annexation application. And a continuance would allow us that opportunity. And I guess my question for Chris is, if in fact they hadn't received notification and hadn't had an opportunity to comment on this, should we be moving forward, or should we be waiting for their reply, or are we constrained by that?
Good. Oh, sorry, Mayor. Mayor, Councilman Keys, and Sean can, I think, kind of confirm this, but the city typically reaches out to relevant agencies when it has an application come in front of the city. On an annexation, there are no relevant agencies. For instance, you do not need permission from Canyon County to annex land in Canyon County, just like you don't need permission from Ada County to annex land in Ada County. The city makes that determination on its own. However, the city will normally send out a request to agencies, for instance, the Sewer and Water District, maybe the fire district, the police, other relevant agencies, obviously the highway district, Canyon County Highway District, or Ada County Highway District, depending on what county you're in, so that they can comment on the specific application. Most of those agencies are more interested in commenting on the development application more than the annexation, but some may have interest in the annexation if that annexation directly impacts their district. So for instance, Canyon Highway District 4, if they're going to manage the roads one way or the other, they may not comment on whether or not the project is in, or the land is actually in the city or not. But it's my understanding that the relevant agencies were contacted and had an opportunity to comment. The Canyon County Commissioners, in my opinion, don't have a right to comment on annexations. I don't think the city has ever sent a request for comment to the Ada County Commissioners when they're attempting to annex Ada County. And interestingly, it would work the other way. If you have an area of impact agreement, for instance, with Ada County, sometimes Ada County is required to give the city a right to comment on a project in a county that's near city limits, often within a mile, depending on the agreement. But the requirement to go the other direction is not in code. And at this point, not part of any agreement with Canyon County either that would allow them or require them to be able to comment on an application.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any further questions of Chris?
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilwoman?
So expanding on that, the next part from Canyon County Board of Commissioners in their letter that was dated today, I think they were building on your point, Councilman Keys, but then it says in that towards the end of the first page, if you're unwilling to grant our request for a continuance, we ask that you accept this letter as written notice under Idaho Code 67-6526 that Canyon County hereby demand compliance with its provisions. So are you saying then that they don't have, the first part of it isn't valid, therefore we don't need to be concerned with the demand compliance?
Mayor, Councilmember Samuelson, my opinion is that the application that you have in front of the city today does not need to be, the city certainly, if they chose, could decide to table this and say, we want to go talk to Canyon County and take whatever amount of time that's going to take and sort out things. And then we'll come back later and hear the application. That's in your purview, because again, annexation is discretionary and you can do what you want with that. What I'm saying is you're not required to take that step. The demand is something that's permitted under Idaho Code just to require that an area of impact negotiation occur. And the city could make that demand of Canyon County, or Canyon County could make that demand of the city. In fact, I believe that, and I'm not 100% sure on this, so don't totally quote me, but I believe when the city was doing the Willowbrook annexation several years ago, that Canyon County made the same demand. And then after that annexation kind of fell through, then those discussions never occurred. And I'm not pointing blame at the city or the county or anything on why they didn't, just for some reason, area of impact discussions never happened. And it seems to be that when the city wants to annex property, all of a sudden Canyon County starts demanding that we meet and have the conversation. So the statute does allow the demand to occur. It, in my opinion, does not hold up a valid application, because the state code is very clear. The city can annex outside of its existing area of city impact as long as it's contiguous and in the comprehensive plan, which, as I understand it, it is. But the city should respond to that demand and then schedule some time in the future to sit down and discuss an area of city impact and what ordinances and things will apply in the area of impact and which ones won't. And that's part's really relevant when when a development project is being considered by the county and not by the city. Because when you're developing near a city, often it's helpful for city standards to apply, because the city will eventually grow out there and it'll be part of the city. But that's a negotiation between the city and the county. So I would say that demand is a lawful demand under the statute, but I do not believe that demand in any way holds up this application or interferes with the application, because the statute is very clear that you can annex outside your area of city impact as long as you're contiguous and your comprehensive plan covers the property to be annexed.
Thank you.
Okay, any further questions of Chris before we move forward? Someone must have hit the air conditioning button back there. Or we got a lot of hot air in here. One of the two, right? It got chilly up here in a hurry.
I
Yeah.
apologize if I added the hot air to your room.
That's awesome. All right,
Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Keys.
So I have a thought. It's not really a question for Chris. Is it appropriate for me to move forward with my thinking here?
I don't know what your thinking is. So you
So-
need to enlighten us on what your thinking is.
So I understand what Chris said. I think we're completely and utterly within our legal rights to move forward on this hearing and to act as we as a body see fit. Having said that, I think we as a city desire to be a good neighbor to our colleagues in the county, in Canyon County, and to our officials in the city of Middleton. And I'm wondering if it wouldn't be wise in the spirit of neighborliness to take a beat, maybe a couple weeks, and see if we can get together and have an agreement on principle, at least if negotiations take longer, so be it, on how to move forward here and making sure that, again, in the spirit of neighborliness, that they all feel heard on this. And I guess what I'm wondering is if we should just table this for a couple weeks. And I would love to hear the thinking of my fellow counselors.
Fellow counselors,
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman Nielsen.
I agree with the sentiment of Councilman Keys that I think neighborliness is a desirable, thing for us to do. I feel in this case that we haven't been treated very neighborly. I think Canyon County and the city of Middleton have misrepresented our position and the facts. And like our counselor, suggested to us that, they tend to just want to have these talks when it's inconvenient or when they feel we're doing something inconvenient for them. And so I feel that we should act within the rights of and the powers that are invested in us and continue with the application here tonight.
Okay. Any further counselors?
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilwoman?
I see both sides here, but when I was looking at this earlier, I think that, I don't have that history. And I think, if it doesn't, from what I see, it wouldn't do us any, any harm to at least try to reach out with the neighbors and see if we can come to some sort of agreement.
So I'm going to give you my 2 cents on this whole thing. So last year I had several meetings with Mayor Rule in Middleton about areas of impact and an agreement there. And we agreed to go to Blessinger Lane as an area for the city of Star. That's why we moved our comprehensive plan map back to Kingsbury, because that area was the unagreed area, right? The fact that the county came in there and made statements in there that we did not have any public safety agreements in place is absolutely false. We have, and I sent it to them, that we have a policing agreement, a prosecuting agreement, a Canyon Highway District 4 agreement, all in place. That was put in place in 2007 with the previous administration. In fact, Mayor Rule signed 2 of those when he was on the county commission in Canyon County. And Mayor Darren Taylor, the former mayor of Middleton, signed the Canyon Highway District 4 agreement when he was on their board. So the statements that are being made by Canyon County are not correct. And I sent that back to them. And I don't know, in my opinion, you hear the public hearing tonight, everybody's here. You hear the public hearing tonight. If you choose to table it after that, I think you table it at that point. But I don't think you table it now with everybody sitting in the room with their thoughts and ideas on this project, in my opinion, based on the comments that were sent to us yesterday and today. That's my opinion.
Mr. Mayor, have you opened the public hearing?
No,
Okay.
well, not for you guys. We're just in this discussion here. So take that with what you guys are thinking. And because if I'm going to give you a few minutes, then we're going to move on to the public hearing. If you don't make a motion or whatnot.
Mayor Chadwick.
Huh? Oh, yes. And I actually am setting I've already set up a meeting with the county commissioners next week for myself. I forgot to tell you that too. To discuss those accusations and the information that they provided. So I'm going into the fires den now.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'm just going to put this to the test. So I'm going to make a motion that we table this until May 4th with direction to yourself and city staff to meet with Canyon County and the city of Middleton to see if you can come up with an agreement in principle on how we should move forward with this.
Okay, we got a motion. We got a second.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion?
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman Nielsen?
So the demand in the Idaho State Code is, as our attorney pointed out, has nothing to do with annexation. It has only things to do with the city area of impact, which has already been established. And so we enter into we should enter into that exercise with them regardless of what happens here tonight. But the outcome of that has no bearing on this particular application. And this annexation that's before us, I think your point's very well made. We got people here before us tonight. We're ready to go. Let's move ahead with both. We can do the application here tonight and we can engage with Canyon County, but that demand in the Idaho ordinance that they're making it under has nothing to do with annexations.
And I was just asked the question, further discussion, what happens if nothing comes up in principle by May 4th? What's the next step?
Then we move forward anyway. It's again, this is I think another expression of goodwill on the city of Star to be good neighbors to both Canyon County and the city of Middleton. And if my motion goes down in flames tonight, then dang it, we're gonna have a hearing.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Hershey?
yes, I was conflicted about this, but after hearing our attorney, I'm more along the lines of let's hear it. And this is why. We do have everybody here. And also, I'll be quite frank, I have no problem tabling after hearing. I have no problem tabling before, but I think everybody's here. Let's hear it. We've tabled many things to resolve an issue. I say we listen to this. We've got them here. We've got a lot of people here, and it is hard to make your time to get here. And this letter came today. I got it today. How long has Canyon County known about this?
Right.
Long enough.
Okay, so we got a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing no further discussion. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Sweet. All opposed to the motion?
Nay.
Nay.
So I'm gonna break the tie and we're gonna have the public hearing tonight. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we'll move on to the applicants. You got 20 minutes. State your name and address, please, for the record.
Mr. Mayor, just before we get into our presentation, my name's Todd Tucker. I work for Boise Hunter Homes. I just wanted to point out, we received a letter from Canyon County today as well. So I went back through my records and I actually reached out to the planning director for Canyon County before we even started this project to get information from them on what we needed to do as far as one of the things is we have to get street names approved. Canyon County is actually the organization that approves our street names, as well as getting notification lists from them. So I actually reached out to the planning director in November of last year to ask them about this project. And so that they may not have conveyed that to the Board of County Commissioners, but at least the planning department and the planning director for Canyon County has known about this project since last November.
Okay.
That we were planning on making an annexation. It's very clear in my email to them that we're annexing into the city of Star and wanted to reach out to them to work with them and get information from them. So just wanted to clarify that they have known about this for quite a while.
And
Duly noted. Thank you.
The street names is actually in the packet. I remember
Correct.
seeing that. That's the
Correct.
first time I've actually seen that in a packet.
So is there a clicker right there?
You got it.
You got it. Okay, all right. You got to point it up here towards my computer in order for it to work. Okay? Okay, you got 20 minutes, sir. State your name and address, please, for the record, and we're moving forward.
All right, thank you for hearing this tonight. My name is Travis Hunter, address 729 South Bridgeway Place, Eagle, Idaho. My family owns Boise Hunter Homes, and tonight we're excited to present to you River Park Estates. It's an old picture. It's like 12 years old, so don't judge me off of it. As many on the council may not be familiar with our company, I will share with you first our company background and some projects we're currently building that you may be familiar with. So Boise Hunter Homes was founded by my father, Jim Hunter, 15 years ago. We're a family owned and operated business with my brother, father, mother, and myself involved daily. We live in the community we build in. We're not owned by Wall Street or out-of-state investors. We build exclusively in the Treasure Valley. Our office is in Eagle. We have 57 employees and 300 tradesmen on any given day are working on our projects. We build communities that we're proud of, and we focus on move-up housing with great architecture and communities that offer unique lifestyles that people thoroughly enjoy. So now I'll take you through a few of the projects that we're currently building you may be familiar with. So Harris Ranch is a master plan community on the east end of Boise, and we've worked with the Harris family in the city of Boise for over a decade, being the anchor home builder in Harris Ranch. We have learned much from Harris Ranch, which is hallmarked by Greenbelt Boise River frontage, excessive walkability, and community amenities, and a diversity of housing types. Next slide. So in South Meridian, we planned and developed Sky Mesa, and we've been building homes in this community for the last 11 years. Although Sky Mesa at the beginning was surrounded by entry-level builders, we differentiated ourselves through quality architecture and family-oriented amenities. Through our differentiation, we've been able to achieve the highest average price point in that submarket. On the slide, you can see this is it's one of our 2 zero-edged pools that's surrounded by a basketball court, soccer fields, and a playground that the residents enjoy. Next slide. The next community you may be familiar with is Dry Creek Ranch, our master plan community north of Eagle off of Highway 55. Dry Creek Ranch is a farm-to-table community that honors the agrarian heritage of its setting, promotes sustainability, and provides an active lifestyle. 2 unique features of Dry Creek Ranch include its on-site community farm and its wildlife conservation program. At Dry Creek Ranch, we created an on-site community farm where we staff a farmer full-time to grow produce that is then delivered to residents' doors weekly, 3 seasons of the year. Residents are encouraged to volunteer on the farm and they take advantage of it regularly. At Dry Creek Ranch, we also created a wildlife conservation fund that accumulates money through its HOA dues and through the transfer of real estate, where the funds are used on local conservation projects and the residents are invited to participate. This conservation fund is managed by the Mule Deer Foundation, by Idaho Fish and Game, Ada County, and the residents. On the screen, you'll actually see this is a project that occurred 2 weeks ago. So the Dry Creek Conservation Fund purchased 10,000 bitterbrush plants, and Dry Creek residents, along with other volunteers, actually planted all of those bitterbrush plants, which the purpose was to revegetate mule deer and elk winter habitat after a fire burned north of town and destroyed a bunch of it. So we're actually going to implement a similar plan at River Park Estates, which I will share the details of later on in the presentation. Moving on to the matter at hand, we're excited to present to you River Park Estates, which will be marked by the same quality amenities and architecture as our current projects. We became familiar with this property a while ago, as my father has kept his roping horse on there for the past decade. On July 4th, 2015, I was actually married on this property in the park-like setting down on the river. When we heard this property was being sold and CBH actually had an offer on it, we decided that it was the right time to enter the Star market, and we wanted to be the ones developing this project. Our vision for River Park Estates is this: a waterfront community featuring a meandering parkway surrounded by 4 recreational lakes leading down to a park on the Boise River with 730 yards of park fronting the river, a green belt traversing through the park, connecting the adjacent properties to the east and west. The lakes will be usable and stocked with fish, where the residents can kayak, fish, and play. The park at the river will feature a pool and a pool house, along with the 730 yards of park fronting the Boise River, and a manicured grass setting beneath the existing 50 to 80 foot tall mature trees where I was actually married. At this time, I'll pass the presentation to Todd Tucker to go over some more details.
Thanks, Travis. Again, my name's Todd Tucker. I work for Boise Hunter Homes, and our business address is 729 South Bridgeway Place in Eagle, Idaho. We are really excited to present this project to you all tonight. We're requesting annexation in the city of Star with R3 zoning. We also have a development agreement associated with the project. There's a preliminary plat for a single-family residential subdivision. And finally, there is a floodplain permit that the city engineer is currently reviewing. Subdivision will have 320 buildable lots for single-family residential homes. We're providing 3 different lot sizes for a diversity of housing type. We have lots that are 81 feet wide, 65 feet wide, and 55 feet wide. And the existing home will remain and be located on a large estate-sized lot. First, I'd like to talk about the annexation request. As you can see, the property is identified as neighborhood residential on the future land use map of the Star Comprehensive Plan. The neighborhood residential land use anticipates densities between 3 and 5 dwelling units per acre. It also encourages lower densities when property is located within the floodplain. This project has 2.1 dwelling units per acre, and we feel that this is an appropriate density as it is located within the floodplain and adjacent to developments with lower densities. As previously stated, we are requesting the property be zoned R3, which allows 3 dwelling units per acre. The subdivision located directly to the east of this property had previously been annexed into the city of Star and is zoned R2. This project has a beautiful entry road that runs from the northern boundary all the way down to the river. It is lined with street trees and passes by the 4 lakes within the subdivision. We designed this road to feel like a parkway with large landscape buffers on either side so that the development feels open and welcoming. There are numerous amenities located within the development. 30% of the total project is open space, with almost all of that being usable open space. This is triple the amount of usable open space that is required by the Unified Development Code. We will provide a swimming pool with bathrooms and a shade structure located down by the river. And we have built this pool in some of our other communities and have received great feedback from the residents on how much they love it. As previously noted, there are 4 lakes within the development. These lakes total approximately 20 acres and will be accessible by all residents within the subdivision. We made sure to provide at least 2 points of access to each lake. Each lake either abuts a sidewalk within the right-of-way or has a paved pathway leading to it. These lakes will be stocked with fish and available for recreation by the residents. We feel the crowning jewel of this project is the vast open space provided along the river. It currently has a park-like feel, and there will be opportunities for residents to either relax by the river, have family picnics, or play ball or frisbee. We are providing 6 miles of tree-lined detached sidewalks within the subdivision. We also have a little over a half mile of pathways in Greenbelt. The paved Greenbelt is 2,200 feet long and located along the Boise River within this project. The Greenbelt will stub to the eastern and western sides of the project. I will now invite Travis back up to discuss a very exciting aspect of this project.
So as modeled to us, we were a home builder in Harris Ranch. We are a home builder. There's a master developer of it. We're not the developer of Harris Ranch, but what was modeled to us in Harris Ranch was it was a wildlife enhancement fund. It was actually, I think, in Harris Ranch, wildlife mitigation fund. And what we did after that is we took that concept from there to Dry Creek Ranch. And it's a concept that we want to continue forward in all of our developments, including this one. So what we're going to do is it's going to be called the Wildlife Enhancement and Recreation Program. We will create a fund that will accumulate money through HOA dues and through the transfer of real estate, which shall be used on wildlife enhancement and recreational opportunities within the city limits of Star. The fund will be governed by the River Park Estates HOA, the city of Star, and ourselves. And the funds will be used on projects such as fish stocking, public pathways and trails, and river bottom enhancement projects. The fund will collect $36 per year from a resident's HOA dues and $300 every time a house is sold, whether it's new construction or resale in the future. By the build out of the project, the fund will have accumulated approximately $237,000 total, an average of $29,000 per year, and will continue to perpetually generate $30,000 every year into the future. In the age of technology and entertainment in everyone's pocket, it's critical to invest in the outdoor recreational opportunities of our community. And it's a passion that we enjoy and values that we think we'd like to share with the community. Another next topic. So the architecture we will feature will include homes designed by Mike Woodley, one of the best architects in the country. Mike was inducted into the National Association of Home Builders Hall of Fame in 2015. And in 2020, at the International Builder Show, Mike won 2 of the 9 Gold Nugget Awards given globally for architecture, including Best Residential Detached Collection of the Year and Best Interior of a Home priced $500,000 to $800,000. Mike performs work all over the world, but he's been working exclusively for us in Idaho. With this application, we're requesting a waiver incorporated into our development agreement regarding the Star City Code relating to architecture, as there is a requirement that there is a minimum side setback of 5 feet per story. Translated, that means that the first level can have a side setback of 5 feet, and the second level must incorporate additional side setback of 5 feet everywhere else in the second level. I'm sure you guys are familiar with it. Functionally, this creates a wedding cake style of architecture that you could show as an exaggeration just to help understand the concept in these pictures. From our understanding, this code was created in an effort to curb entry-level style architecture where homes are marked by flat walls and lacked architectural diversity. Our 2-story homes designed by Mike Woodley do not meet this architectural code. However, our homes incorporate modulation not only from side to side, which is what this code was intended to govern, but also from front to back as well. On the screen is a visual. It's a visual of one of our floor plans. As you can see, the background image is the first level, and the black image in the foreground is the second level. So you can see how there's modulation that occurs from side to side as well as front to back, how the second story fits on top of the first story. On the next slide, you could see, so this is a home that we actually built in Harris Ranch, and it's a floor plan we built in Dry Creek Ranch as well. And you could look at it, and this house does not meet the code that you guys have on the side setbacks, but it is so much more architecturally diverse and pleasing than the things that I think you guys are trying to prevent with the regulation that you have on there currently. So also our houses, as you can see, they're not only appealing from the front, but they're appealing from the rear elevation as well. So here's a street scene of a real block that we built in Harris Ranch. Here's a street scene of the front of a house of these houses on the same block as well. So you could get a taste of the architecture that we build. We're not entry level. We're second and third time move up housing, and we take a lot of pride in our architecture. So the 2-story homes that we build are important to our target market as they allow our residents to maximize their square footage in a cost-effective manner, which is critical in today's environment of rising costs. The 2-story homes also create a shallower footprint, allowing for deeper and more usable backyards by the residents. In light of the quality of our architecture and the caliber of this community, we're asking for the City of Star to waive this architectural criteria. We hope you understand that we're not an entry-level builder that would dumb down the aesthetics of your community, but rather it's in our DNA to do directly the opposite. With that, I'll pass it back to you, Todd.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilor Nielsen.
I'd like to ask an applicant of Travis or question of Travis before we change out of this topic.
Okay.
So you've assumed a couple of things about the purpose of our code. And I just want you to know that that's not correct. The purpose of the code is so that we don't build houses that sit on top of each other. When you have 5-foot setbacks and you stick houses 10 feet apart, that puts neighbors right on top of each other. Pictures that you show here, actually this one, you might have a 5-foot setback on that one, but the first one you showed, there was probably about 20 feet between those homes. So I just want you, number one, to understand the purpose of our code. And you know, I'm happy to consider the requests that you're making here tonight, but I want you to know that's the reason why. And that I have seen where that's been done well over in Legacy. So if you've driven through there and you can picture some of those homes and the type of landscaping that's done around those homes that make the smaller setbacks work. Maybe that'll help you out as your presentation continues.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Okay,
Thank you. We wanted to show you some of the examples of real homes that we have constructed within our various communities and that we plan on building within the River Park Estates. This is our Magnolia that fits on one of our wider lots. This is the Table Rock that we build on a 65-foot wide lot. And this next one is one of our newer products, the Targhee, that will fit on a 55-foot wide lot.
you got 5 minutes, just so you're aware.
Okay, we're almost done. This is just a small example of some of the stellar homes that we build. We just wanted to illustrate to you how we can build great homes with wonderful architectural elements on standard size lots with 5-foot side yard setbacks. We received comments from the Canyon Highway District and Idaho Department of Transportation and are in agreement with their conditions. We met with the Canyon Highway District last week to confirm that we are all in agreement with their requirements. We will be improving Blessinger Road from Highway 44 to the northern boundary of our property. So the pavement is 26 feet wide with 2-foot wide gravel shoulders on either side. We have been assured by the Canyon Highway District that there is sufficient right of way to make this improvement. The Idaho Transportation Department provided comments that we are that they are currently designing a reconstruction of the intersection at Highway 44 and Blessinger Road. We have been conditioned to pay our proportionate share of that construction, which is a little over $210,000. This money will be paid to the City of Star as part of your agreement with ITD. We have designed the northern portion of the project to include an east-west road shown on the future street map of City of Star and the Canyon Highway District. In our meeting with Canyon Highway District, they indicated that this design is in compliance with their standards. In conclusion, we respectfully request the City Council approve our request for annexation into the City of Star with the development agreement, approve our request to allow a 5-foot wide side yard setback for all homes within the subdivision, and to approve the proposed preliminary plat. We feel we are in complete compliance with the comprehensive plan for the City of Star, as well as the future street map and the Idaho State Code for annexation. And that concludes our presentation. We can answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, any questions of the applicant?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Keys?
so it looks like you have a tremendous amount of open space compared to what our code asked for. And I'm curious, how much of that is wet open space versus dry? How much is ponds versus something I can walk on?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Keys, this project provides about 45 acres of open space. About half of that is ponds. 20 acres is pond. The rest of it is grass open space, mainly down along the river. We really fell in love with the river aspect of this project. It's beautiful down there, and wanting to create a park-like setting that's down along the river. Again, we're providing a green belt along the entire length of our property down there, but about a little bit less than half of the open space is ponds. And again, we wanted to make sure that those ponds were accessible to everyone within the subdivision, not just the neighbors that back their yards to those ponds. So that's why we wanted to make sure that there was open access on either side of the ponds so that everyone within the subdivision has access to utilize those as an amenity.
Okay, and can you describe how you intend to construct the green belt? I believe you said it was going to be paved, and how wide is the pavement? Is it wide enough for 2 bicycles to pass? Or
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Keys, we will follow the direction of City of Star on that. We are willing to put it in. We assumed, I think, that it was going to be a 10-foot wide pathway down there, and we also assumed that from what we hear from Sean, that you guys prefer your pathways to be paved, not gravel. So that's what we're planning on doing. We'll comply with whatever standards you want us to do.
And if you're building the Harris Ranch, of course, you're aware of the beautiful green belt that runs from Lucky Peak all the way through Eagle, and how accessible it is to the public. That plan has been in place for 40 years to eventually reach, down to the terminus of the Boise River. And it's just now kind of starting to get to Star. And we're trying to do our part to keep that open. But it's unlikely that that's going to join to anything for a while on either end of your development. And I'm wondering, do you anticipate that we'll have public access to that green belt through your subdivision? Since it's unlikely to be able to come in through either side for the short time, for the time being.
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Keys, the project directly to the east of us, Star River Ranch, one of their conditions of approval is to provide a sportsman's access. We have a condition of approval in our staff report that says we need to work with staff on aligning the location of that stub of the pathway to the east so that it aligns with that sportsman's access so that it provides access in that location. Again, all of our streets are going to be public, so people can access our development through the public streets. But as far as pathway connections within the development to the Greenbelt, we weren't providing any just along our park area, but we were providing that stub street again to the east that we're conditioned to work with the developer to the east and city staff to make sure that that aligns with the sportsman's access.
Okay, and I guess my question is, let me direct it a little differently. So, so if somebody were to drive down these public streets down to the river, is there a place they could park and walk to access that green belt? And the reason for that is that sportsman's access is a little constrained behind gates and time clocks, and it's not accessible all the time, and it's really not. The intent of it, as much as we would like it to be, is not yet greenbelt. It's really sportsman's access. So,
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Keys. So as far as we're not providing a parking lot down there, if that's what you're asking. The streets are wide enough to provide on-street parking, but we're not providing a parking lot down in that area.
okay, and you wouldn't object if the public parked there and walked to that greenbelt?
We wouldn't have any say so over it, really, because they're public streets.
Well, except it's your private common area between the street and the river.
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Keys, I guess that is correct.
Yeah, we would not object to that. That'd be fine.
Okay, thank you. And then, yeah, then I have another comment, but we'll hold it to the end. So.
Okay, any other comments of the applicant?
Right, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Hershey?
Yes, sir. When it comes to the 5-foot setback waiver that you're looking for, you said it's for every lot?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Hershey, that's correct.
So you don't have any specific areas where we could look more at where it would be for certain you'd want that rather than other areas where it's certain that you wouldn't. So just right now you're asking for a carte blanche coverage.
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Hershey, that's correct. We've provided sample architecture and sample homes of what will be built within this development. We didn't do an extensive layout of a lot study of this house will be on this particular lot. We usually leave that open to customers to make those choices. And so that's why we've asked for that waiver on all of the lots to give us the flexibility to accommodate our customers and the things which they desire. Again, we've done this type of architecture and this type of development in several subdivisions throughout the valley, and it seems to work really well for us with the 5-foot setbacks based on the type of architecture that we provide.
All righty, thank you.
Okay, any further comments of the applicant?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilwoman?
So regarding the Wildlife Enhancement and Recreation Fund, that looks like an awesome program. Can you talk, so what would be available to the public versus, just the homeowners?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Salmonson, that fund is really to generate money that we would then provide to the city to do enhancements on public property that the city owns. So I know the city owns parks along the river. You're looking to enhance trails throughout the city, and then also, maybe mistaken, but I thought next to your river house, there's a pond directly to the east of that I believe the city owns or has use of that could be stocked with fish. So our intent was this is a fund that generates money that then we can donate to the city of Star, and you use it within your parks department to provide enhancements within the city of Star. We would have a committee set aside that talks about what those uses are and what the money goes for, but it would be to enhance public property that the city of Star owns within the city.
Great, thank you. And then another question I have, looking at the, just the plan or the way that the land is right now, I noticed that there's a couple of ponds there already. Are they like about 10 feet deep or so? And then you're going to go in and fill them in and then put houses on top of them? Is that correct?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Samuelson, yes. So there's a few ponds, one's larger than the other, that are there now. Those will be filled in and houses located on that location, and then the larger ponds where we have them shown on the property will be the larger lakes.
So I haven't seen this before, and so just to put my, you hear stories of houses sinking and all of that, and so I'm sure that it wouldn't happen, but can you just describe, tell us how you prevent that from happening?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Samuelson, I can do my best to explain it. Our civil engineer is here and maybe better to answer those questions, but we have a grading permit that we'll have to get. We have grading plans that we'll submit. It's structural fill, so the raising of the site out of the floodplain is going to be that source is going to be generated from the ponds that you see in the plan. So that's how we're raising the site, is excavating the dirt from those pond areas. And so it's put down in a structural way. It's reviewed by geotechnical engineers. They do tests on it to make sure that it's structural and that it compacts the right way, so that, as you're talking about in other developments, there have been issues where things have settled or moved. We do it in a structural way, and it's all engineered to make sure that doesn't happen.
Okay. And then my last question, I noticed that there's a number of trees on the property, and I think in your proposal, it says that you're hoping to keep or relocate a number of them, but in reality, it seems like they're pretty mature trees from the map. Can you really move them?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Samuelson, we're going to do our best. There are numerous trees there. We're going to do our best to save as many as that we can. Our landscape plan, if you looked at it, we're providing quite a few trees on the site, and we actually the trees that we plant in our subdivisions are a little bit larger than what you may see in some other developers' subdivisions. We actually have a contract with tree growers in northern Idaho, where we actually go straight to the source where we get our trees from. We don't buy them necessarily from, occasionally we get them from local nurseries, but we actually go straight to the tree growers in northern Idaho, and we physically go up there and tag every tree that we want planted on our developments, and then they ship them down to us. And we usually get quite a bit better trees and larger trees than what you may see planted in subdivisions normally.
Thank you. That's all I had.
Any further questions of the applicant?
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen.
let's talk about your setbacks again.
Okay.
Or a little bit more, I guess. So I mentioned earlier that over in Legacy, I have seen those 5-foot setbacks, done what I think is well. And landscaping has a big part to play in that as you create that separation between the properties and make it look great. And your architecture, I mean, I can't complain about it. You've got an award-winning guy doing it. So who can say that it's not good, right? To be recognized globally, that's fantastic. Do you pair that up with landscaping, or tell me about how you make that work and how you make that look well, and how you make it so that somebody having dinner in house A isn't participating in the conversation of those having dinner in house B.
Sure, sure. Mr. Mayor, Councilman Nielsen, we do. We like, I think you've seen and probably heard from our presentation today, we take a lot of pride in our development, and we think that that is our goal, is to provide the highest quality development and homes that you can buy in the Treasure Valley. And so landscaping plays a large part in that. We have, obviously, like most subdivisions do, but we have architectural control through the CC&Rs, and we have certain requirements that we look at for landscaping as well as architecture control, as far as the type and quality of landscaping that's provided. We also take great measure to the location of windows and the types of windows that are provided to alleviate some of those concerns that you mentioned earlier. So we take great pride in our development, not just the architecture, but also the landscape architecture that we provide. We use one of the premier landscape architects in the valley to do almost all of our landscape architecture for all of our developments. And we feel very confident that not only the home architecture that we provide, but also the landscape architecture that we provide is an enhancement to the community.
Thank you.
Okay. You have another, okay, Councilman Keys?
Mr. Mayor, I actually did have one more question. When you were putting in your stub roads, I understand the stub road to the east aligns with an existing stub road. When you were putting your stub road to the west, did you meet with the adjacent landowner and kind of talk about what their plans were and how that made sense for what's going on there? Or was that not a conversation that happened?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Keys, we did not meet with them to discuss, the location of that stub road. We provided it in a location that we think is usable by them, as well as the stub road that we're providing to the west as well. So we're providing two stubs, one additional to the east and one to the west, and then connecting to the one that was stubbed into our property.
Okay, thank you. And thanks for adding that Landreth Lane collector as well, because that saved me the trouble of beating you guys up over that tonight.
I have one question for you. Are you able to pull up your plat for me?
Sure.
Real quick. That'll work right there. It's fine. So we got a letter from Mr. Earl Hafer Jr. that talks about access to his property. Do you know where his property is on this? And he's talking about having to drive through the 320 house subdivision for his property access. What does that mean?
Yeah, if you guys could pull up slide number 5. So we actually have good news from Mr. Hafer.
For us? You want us to pull up slide 5?
Yeah.
Oh,
Backup slides that we gave you.
oh, okay. Hang on. Now you're asking for a lot. So,
So the good news is Mr. Hafer currently accesses his property through a dirt road that actually does not go through our property at all. And he will be able to continue to access it. So we read his letter.
he's got the clicker. There we go. Okay, cool. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, gosh, man. You're asking a lot right now. I can't, I'm telling you, we're gonna hang meat in here pretty quick because it's pretty chilly up here. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so we read his letter. And I think he might have just been confused with where our property boundary was, but the road that he currently accesses his property to, he will be able to continue to use that. And it's not within this project. So it appeared like his major concern was he said he'd have to drive through a community with 320 homes to get to his house. He'll maintain his same access. It's not on our property.
Okay,
And this
very good.
is showing his access.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any further comments of the applicant before we move on? Okay, thank you. We will move on to the public testimony here. Oop, get my clock back up. Okay. Before we do the public testimony, I've been requested to take a 5-minute recess for facility use. So we'll take a 5-minute recess. Really? Somebody unmute us. You good? Okay. We're going to call the city council meeting back to order. It is 8:33. You're welcome. Okay, we are going to go on to public testimony, and I'm going to apologize in advance if I truly butcher your name. I don't mean to, okay? Like I said, we're going to start with those that are in favor, go to those that are against, and those that wrote in between the lines. Yeah, that I think they're uncommitted. You got 3 minutes to testify. Please state your name and address for the record, and the council may ask you some follow-up questions on there. And so we're going to start with Lance Manning. If you come up here and state your name and address for the record. And I think the heat's on because I can feel it, I think. Amen.
Mayor, councilmen, councilwomen, Lance Manning, 2048 North Foudy Avenue, Eagle, Idaho, 83616, live right across the street from Legacy. So I know what you mean about the density and the landscape, and it's a beautiful, my mother's got a place there. I'm one of the 300 contractors that work for Boise Hunter Homes. So it benefits me to come up here and speak, of course, to hope that it would pass and go through for me, my family, and my employees. We don't work for a lot of builders. In fact, Boise Hunter Homes is the only builder that we work for. Great company, built a great home. I've always been paid on time. Their clients are great people, always happy. Any repairs or or any modifications that need to be done to keep their clients happy, it's always done. So we love working for them, and we hope to continue to work for them. And so that's why I'm here tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I have Mr. Mark and Tammy Cron. You didn't check if you wanted to speak. Did you want to speak?
No, I think I'll pass.
Okay, I just want to if you didn't check it, I'm going to ask you, just so you're aware. I just want to make sure everybody has the opportunity on here. Okay, thank you. Let's see. Mr. Mark and Luann McKibben. Did you want to speak? Okay, thank you. Okay, and then we got, I think it's Al Dovin. Al Dovin.
I want to speak.
There you go, sir. Floor is yours. State your name and address for the record. If you don't mind spelling your last name for me also.
It's Al Dovin, Dauven.
Okay. And your address, please.
22020 Blessinger Road.
All right, thank you, sir.
Anyway, I have to disagree with you on who has political control or let's say legal control of Blessinger Road. I had a guy that drove out of that property that ran through my fence that was totally drunk. He left his front bumper and his license plate. And I called, like they told me the last time in 07, that Star had control of it. Star did not have control of it. We had to call Canyon County Sheriff's Department. They came out and they proceeded in finding the guy and arresting him. So if you're going to say that you guys assumed legal, let's say, ownership to that, I have to disagree with you. If your police department won't come out there, then what's going on here? And if you look at it, I own the property to the north of this, and they're putting 21 homes right beside me, right down my driveway. And 55 feet is not enough. You might as well go down to this subdivision you built right here on State Street and do the same thing. That's zeros up.
Where's your house at on here? I'm sorry.
To the north of their property.
Oh, okay, all right.
See the little kink there? Well, the white spot and the green on the north side.
All right,
That's
thank
my
you.
property. Anyway, and the road won't handle 26 feet. Where are we coming up with 26 feet? It's 36 foot in most subdivisions. And it's 48 on a main road. And you guys are saying 26 feet. We have a culvert that they measured the last time this was up before you guys that was 19 feet. What's going to happen about that? I mean, and we have some elderly people that walk up and down the roads with their dogs and stuff. We can't put up with 320 homes. What's that? That'd be, let's say, 4 car trips a day per house. I mean, that's a lot of car trips up down a little dirt lane, you might say.
Okay, about 10 seconds, sir.
Well, that's probably about all I got to say. I'm just dead set against it.
Okay.
If you're going to do that volume. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, John McLeod, did you want to speak? Okay.
John McLeod, 6970 Saddleman Ranch Court. My property adjacent's Blessinger, Saddleman, and Blessinger. The concerns I have, sir, are the intersection of Blessinger. It's an offset intersection right now. So it's not a straight through. So it causes its traffic down with the amount of population we have in Star. The traffic's pretty bad there. Widening the road, there's a culvert. If they take that culvert out, that's gonna cut us off from getting to our home. If the other access road is gonna be through Bent, that road's not even connected yet. There's only one route into that subdivision, and that's Blessinger. So if there's a flood, fire, there's only one road. There's also a historical building on the corner of Blessinger and State Street. So is there a consideration of that historical building? Another thing is that that's a floodplain, and there's also a high water table. So if about 14 feet, you're hitting water. And they have to build up all the homes for the build. If they build up that area, is that going to change the floodplain to the east of the river? And is that going to, like where the governor's at? Is that going to change the waterway with the construction that they're doing? And again, traffic on Blessinger. It's just going to widen the road, and it's going to encroach on my property. Those are my concerns.
I just want to ask you a question. You and Mr. Donovan talked about a culvert. Is that on the east side of Blessinger up there?
That is between, if you come off of State Street, it's about 75 yards. Where that canal is, there's a canal.
Okay, through the canal. Okay. Oh, the Lawrence Kennedy there?
Yeah,
Okay,
and
all right.
that culvert is old. And I don't know if it could handle the amount of construction vehicles on that road.
Okay.
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman Nielsen.
Mr. McLeod, just a question. You mentioned the historical building on the
That
corner of State and Blessinger. Do you know, is that listed on any historic registries? Is it? Do you know which one?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I know there's several barns because there used to be a tour that you could go through and see all the historical barns in the Middleton Star area.
Nice. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Miss Mary Donovan? Did you want to speak? I could read your writing. If you pull that microphone down towards you,
Sure.
please. Thank you.
This good enough now?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thanks. Mary Donovan, 22020 Blessinger Road. And the subdivision is gonna go all the way down the side of our road. And I'm requesting that they have at least fencing and a berm so that the cars and and that we have some separation, simply because we have 10 acres, we have horses and dogs and all kinds of animals, and I'd hate to have the other people or interfere with the subdivision. And then I'm also requesting that this be an R2 rather than an R3. So the houses, because it is country, it is Canyon County, and make it more appropriate to what it is currently. And that's everything I've got. Thanks.
Can I just ask you a question, ma'am, real quick? When you talk about fencing, what style of fencing would you like to see if you were to have fencing out there? Wrought iron, vinyl, wood rail? I mean, I don't know.
Vinyl separation.
Okay.
That way, when my dogs are barking, you've got a little bit of noise barrier.
Okay.
Mrs. Donovan? Have you seen the preliminary plat that the applicant submitted that shows a collector road that I believe borders your property?
I have not.
I'm wondering, Mr.
Is
Mayor,
that,
can
is
you
that a
bring that
new,
up real quick?
is that a new one then?
It's pretty new. I just want to.
Do you guys have that on your slides?
Yeah, this is the one right here.
Oh, right here. Sorry. Okay.
So if I understand,
Oh, dang it.
you got
It's
this.
a lovely couple.
Great. I hit the F5 and we try that.
So I don't know if you can see, but there's a road that runs along that northern boundary there. Yeah, where he has the mouse. And if I understand correctly, your property abuts that directly to the north. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so your driveway though is not part of that. It's adjacent to that. Is that correct?
From what I can see, where's the entryway to the road that he's got?
Right here. I think it's right here.
That's the Blessinger extension right there. Yeah.
So is this your property here? Yeah.
Go around that, right down straight there, that's our drive.
Okay.
Okay, so it's, from what you're saying or what I'm seeing, it's adjacent.
And the only reason I wanted to point this out is because there's actually a collector, that's a collector road. That road, when that is built, is going to be a relatively busy road in the entire county. That's a road that's in Middleton's plans, it's in Canyon Highway District 4's plans, it's in STAR's plans. It's been planned for a long time as this area begins to develop. I didn't know if you were aware of that.
I was not.
So-
Or the section road, or quarter section road?
We'll have to get that answered here in a little bit. We can't have testimony from the seats. I'm sorry.
So does that mean that on a collector road, so isn't that just going to be a collector for that subdivision or for?
For the entire area is what Canyon Highway District 4 has planned to have a road that goes all the way east-west. That's a collector road.
So where does it go out then?
It would go out probably, I would guess, is it by Bent Lane?
Well, no,
Going
this will actually, the way it's shown on our eCamp map and what the city of Middleton has is it would go to Canada, about to Canada, and then can probably connect to Canada. So the part of Canada that doesn't yet extend to the south. So, and then all the way into Middleton, the other way.
Wow.
So, yeah, parallel to 44 it's a collector road. Yeah.
So when is that? Any idea when the?
I think it all depends on development and when they have money to finish it
I was
out.
just gonna say, because
Yeah.
typically the roadways, it takes, especially public roadways, takes a long time.
Right. Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, I guess, so my question is, seeing this view, you talked about, berms and fences and whatnot, and I had thought perhaps you hadn't seen this before. And you can also see there's actually fewer houses that abut your property. They're on the other side of a road, and there's only the sides of them, not the backs of them. So it's a different situation. And does that change your perspective on what you'd like to see on that road?
As far as berms and fencing?
Yeah. Especially knowing that's gonna be a collector road now.
Definitely berms and fencing, just especially if it's gonna have the type of traffic you're talking about to separate it out.
Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate you coming up. Okay, Trace Layton.
My time starts. Can I clarify something on the report? I had Carl Gephardt.
I'm so,
I had Carl Gephardt send in a river report. I was just gonna clarify some things, but I don't want to count against my time.
you could clarify it, but say
Okay.
your name and address. For the
Trace Layton, 21270 Trigger Ranch Lane, Star. I had a report done by Carl Gephardt, who has done many of the studies along the river, and the reason why I approved for him to send it, I did request a report when I saw the subdivision, just because after the 17 flood, we wanted to make sure that, anything that's done upstream because of other projects that people have done upstream and not considered the downstream people, it's flooded our property a couple times. So anyways, that's why I had Carl look at this. Was nothing against Hunter Homes or any of that. I just, for my own knowledge, wanted to know. And when he got it done, he asked me if it'd be okay to share it with Tim Eck and I think JUB, who I believe is these guys' engineers. And I just wanted to point out that Carl would really, and I don't know how many of you guys know Carl, but he would really like for all the entities along the river to get involved with this new modeling that they have that Flood District 10 did for any of these projects going along the river, just so that us people downstream hopefully are a little bit protected when some of this other construction starts.
Will you send that to Sean for me, please?
I believe Carl did.
You have that? Oh,
Yeah.
okay, all right, we're good there.
He asked permission to send it to you guys and I told him he had it.
Yeah, we got it. And I thought I sent it to you guys yesterday.
Okay. all right.
And
I mean, luckily it doesn't affect, this development doesn't affect my property. But anytime anybody messes with the river, it's scary what's going on, you know, for us downstream from that. So.
Yeah,
yeah,
Hey.
our city engineers looked at that.
oh, that's the report he looked
Carl,
at,
yes.
made a comment. Okay, got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
I guess I'm going to be the bad neighbor, as I was kind of hinted at earlier today by a couple of guys. But first of all, I do want to state that I believe this is an illegal hearing due to the non-compliance of notification to the city of Middleton, Canyon County, and the Flood District 10. The county tax assessor and address person were notified in the county, but no one in planning and zoning, Middleton City, or Flood District 10. They were completely left off the list. I'm here in opposition to this development based on my personal property and as a representative for Leighton Lakes, the state's HOA. First, I wanted to make it very clear that I'm not anti-development, as I'm actually a small developer. This also is nothing against Hunter Homes. They're a quality builder with a good reputation. This strictly has to do with the density of the 2.1 lots per acre and the traffic that will come with it, with not only this development, but the two future developments I'm aware of that will total another 2,000 homes. People move to Star for the feel of space and country life. When I purchased my land, I checked all of the comp plans and Canyon County was the only one out there. It was based on minimum of 2 acre lots. To this date, Star's comp plan in Canyon County still does not include any land other than what they have already annexed, and your area of impact plan shows nothing at all in Canyon County. When I developed my land, I stuck to the county comp plan of minimum 2 acres. My lots are actually 2.7 to 10 acres each. We feel that this and any new development should be held to the county comp plan for this area, which brings me to my next point. The city of Star and its council, you guys are going to be pissed off at me, but the city of Star and its council have violated state laws numerous times and are here trying to do it again. I'm not a political person, but if there's rules set, we are all going to abide by them. Star started breaking annex laws in 2017, in which Canyon County sent you a letter stating this, and to this date, you have still not replied. This is information I was given. So Middleton has made numerous efforts to meet with Star, which you guys refuse. You have also violated every time you have annexed any ground in Canyon County by not complying with the notification law, which you have done again here by not properly notifying all of the public entities. Clearly, Idaho Code Section 50-222 addresses the city's power to annex land. However, it is important to note that this section does not explicitly contemplate or authorize cities crossing over county lines and annexing lands from an adjoining county. Nor does this section prohibit cities from annexing land in other counties. Once the annex ordinance is final, Idaho Code Section 50-223 only requires that the annexation ordinance be filed with the county auditor, county treasurer, and county assessor in the county where the city is located, basically Ada County, not Canyon County, where the annexed lands are situated. The requirement in Idaho Code Section 50-223
10 seconds, sir.
well, we're going to go on tag team here. I got two kids following me. Code section 5223 may provide insight that Idaho Code 50-222, a category 3 was intended to apply to the annexation of lands within a city's home and not be interpreted to allow the cities to annex lands across county lines.
Time to tag out.
Yep, gotcha. I'll bring my daughter in now. Thank you. And any questions at the end, if you guys could come to me, because I wrote this all there, just doing the, yeah.
Is this Miss Timmy?
Yes.
Okay, state your name and address, please, for the record.
My name is Timmy Layton and I live at 21270 Trigger Ranch Lane in Star.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know if I can talk as fast as him. However, if Idaho Code Section 50-222 is read in unison with the Idaho Code Section of 67-6526, it becomes clear that an area of a city impact must be established before annexation can take place, which STAR has not done. In fact, Idaho Code 67-6526 specifically references Idaho Code 50-222 when it imposes the requirement that the city's area of impact be established prior to annexation. The city of Star appears to take that position, the position that under Idaho Code Section 50-222, 3A, Category A, the annexation can go forward beyond Star's existing area of impact because all of the private landowners within that area have consented to the annexation and the areas within Star's comprehensive plan. The problem with this interpretation is that Star area of impact lies exclusively in Ada County and does not extend into Canyon County. This is likely why the Idaho legislature explicitly requires that the city establish an agreed to area of impact in the adjoining county before annexing lands in another county. Idaho Code 67-6526 specifically addresses areas of city's impact. Interestingly, this statute explicitly addresses the issue of a city's area of impact and the crossing of county line. Idaho Code 67-6526A3 provides that areas of city impact together with plan and ordinance requirements may cross county boundaries by agreement of city and county concerned if the city is within 3 miles of the adjoining county. Evidently, the city of Star's position is that it can be unilaterally annex Canyon County lands under Idaho Code 50-222 as long as it has consent of the landowner and the land lies within Star's comprehensive plan. The most recent amendment to Star's comprehensive plan was December 8th, 2020, and the area of city impact hasn't been amended for years and sits at the Canyon County line apparently and serves to avoid the requirements in Idaho Code 67-6526. This interpretation appears to ignore the introductory language in Idaho Code 67-6526A that provides, subject to the provisions of Section 50-222, Idaho Code, an area of city impact must be established before a city may annex adjacent territory. Now, this provision could be loosely interpreted to only require that Star have an area of impact established somewhere in Ada County where typically area of impact negotiations between Star and Ada County have already taken place. But that interpretation leaves Canyon County and the city of Middleton out of the process completely.
About 10 seconds.
To the extent these sections of the Idaho Code are ambiguous, the city and county should attempt to try to read the provisions given reasonable interpretations to each statute.
Okay, now I'll pass it on to Trevor, who has a great name. Mr. Trevor, state your name and address, please, sir.
Trevor Layton, 22444 Sugar Ranch Lane.
Okay.
Can I get situated really quick?
Sure.
All right. All right. If the area of Star's impact has been addressed before the annexation as required under Idaho Code 676526, the city and Canyon County could have addressed some of these underlying questions. And an agreement that to date have not been addressed because Star has been proceeding unilaterally through the process. The area of city impact agreement described in Idaho Code 676526A3 must be negotiated to define the city of Star's area of impact in Canyon County, as well as other issues, including but not limited to interaction and coordination with the city of Middleton's establishment area of impact and the Canyon County Rural Plan, establishing a density limitation that is consistent with properties developed pursuant to Canyon County Rural Plan and the city of Middleton's area of impact, rather than simply replacing the Canyon County plans, floodplain and floodway determinations, law enforcement jurisdictions, coordination of taxation issues, other legal issues. Does the city of Star maintain authority to adopt a comprehensive plan that indicates land in the Canyon County under Idaho Code Section 676508? A comprehensive plan is a prerequisite for Category A annexation. Has a joint planning and zoning commission between the counties been formed under Idaho Code 676505 to develop a comprehensive plan that includes the concerns of Canyon County and the city of Middleton? If not, that appears what may be needed. Does the city of Star's actions of adopting a comprehensive plan without the creation of a joint planning commission under Idaho Code 676505 and the subsequent annexation ordinance constitution a potential violation of Article 12, Section 2 of the Idaho Constitution? If anyone or if Canyon County does not intend to pass its own ordinance that adopts the terms of STAR's annexation ordinance. I have a couple questions, just put in your guys' head. When does the city of Star intend to negotiate an agreement with the Canyon County? Like Congressman Keys was saying, and the failure to have this agreement in place serves a freeze out Canyon County residents and allows the city of Star to proceed with any or without any input of its Canyon County neighbors. In closing, I have a few comments and then a couple questions. My comment is I can't understand why this city council is trying to make Star the next Meridian with rooftops from one boundary well past another. I'm sure that's not what you all wanted when you all moved here. Why are you screwing it up now? Now my second question, or my two questions. I really can't comprehend how a government entity from a county and city that I don't even live in and cannot vote for or against can legally make decisions that affect my property. Why does Star City continue to try and backdoor these annexations without letting all of the other government agencies know? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And I'd like to leave all the questions to my dad.
Any questions? Okay. Miss Tina Vucinich? Does that sound right? Okay, did I say it right? Oh, fantastic. Okay, state your name and address, please, for the record.
My name's Tina Vucinich, and my property is on Trigger Ranch Lane, but I don't know the number, sorry, because my house hasn't been built there yet.
So just give me your current residential address.
1483 South Blue Jay Place, Eagle, Idaho.
Okay, go ahead.
This is my husband, Mark, and I'm a school teacher and he's a retired police detective for the city of Boise. And we've lived in Eagle for more than 25 years. And when we moved there, Eagle Road was just a 2-lane highway. And I teach in Meridian at Meridian Middle School. Anyhow, over the past 20 years, you know how traffic has become on Eagle Road. And my commute to Meridian Middle School has doubled. It used to be 15 minutes max. Now it takes me a half hour to get to work. So I really like Hunter Homes. I like what they build. I like their quality. I love that they have like a park-like setting along the river and they want to have ponds. I love that. I just think that if Eagle Road was still a 2-lane road and they were gonna put a subdivision that had 320 houses in Eagle, would the Hunter Homes family still live in Eagle and still have their business in Eagle? If it was a 2-lane road, that many houses, you figure at least 2 cars per house, that's 640 cars on a 2-lane road. Well, that's what State Street is. And that's what we would have to deal with subdivisions putting that many houses. And like the Laytons have said, we're not against new construction. We're just against that amount. And living in Eagle, we live on the Greenbelt, and seeing all the new construction, we lived there for 20 years. The Greenbelt used to be clean, nice. We could ride our bikes there, have our dogs walking there. All the new construction right there around the Greenbelt, people have littered it. There's dog crap everywhere. We can't even walk there anymore. So as much as we appreciate Hunter Homes and the quality and how nice it looks, I just think the amount of lots and homes, the reason we spent our life savings to move out to Layton Lakes is so that we could have that Star community, that kind of community that has open spaces and.
About 10 seconds.
Okay, you.
Well, he's got his own 3 minutes.
Oh, he'll take 10 seconds.
Yeah, I'll take 10 seconds. Okay. Well, Mr. Mark, she doesn't give you much confidence there, but you have the floor.
Mark Vucinich, 1483 South Blue Jay Place, Eagle, Idaho. And I totally agree with everything that the Laytons have said in reference to this project and what obviously my wife has said, and I wouldn't dare disagree with her. For me, what I'm seeing, Boise Hunter Homes, I mean, they do build great homes. I see them all over the Treasure Valley and so forth. I feel that they're just kind of taking advantage of the moment that the Treasure Valley is in right now with all this growth coming from the east and the west to us right now from California and so forth. And everyone's just trying to take as much money out of into their pockets as they possibly can. This subdivision tells me exactly that. They're just cramming everybody in on top of everybody in some beautiful areas. I think we just need to slow the roll in a lot of these big companies like Boise Hunter and other big companies out there, and just keep it wide open. They can put 120 homes in this place and still make it a gorgeous place for Star. You don't need to cram them on top of each other. And that's my 2 cents.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, Greg Herrera.
Greg Herrera, 5508 West Estante in Meridian. And I bought the land at 22104 Trigger Ranch Lane, where we're currently building a house. I'm in opposition to it, mostly just right now in Meridian and everywhere I've lived in my life has always been very, very dense, very crowded. I have 5 kids, so the draw to us out there was just the open space and the land, and having that room for the kids to run around and all that. I know over the years, especially with 320 more homes plus anything else that is going to come up, the road is going to get very crowded to and from. And obviously that's a concern with my oldest almost turning 13, so she's going to start driving soon. And making a left turn right now out of Trigger Ranch onto State, if you go that way, can be very difficult as it is, just with the current traffic. So anything else I have to say would sound silly compared to what the Laytons had, because they brought it all. But I do have one more letter from another, if you guys will accept it, from another property owner there that could not be here tonight and also in opposition.
Give it to Sean. Okay, thank you, sir. Let's see, Ms. Tammy, is it Castile, sorry.
I live at 22318 Blessinger. I'm on the corner of Highway 44 and Blessinger. The barn was built in 1892 with 2 nesting owls that had been with the University of Idaho. They've been tracing them to make sure they're nesting and breeding properly. I'm working with the Historical Society, which had a placard on my barn that it was built by Mrs. Blessinger for the sure purpose that Star would never extend Blessinger Road any farther than what it was or widen it. That's why she put the barn into the easement. So you guys could not build the road bigger or larger. She hated Star from everybody I've talked to, hated you guys. That's why she built the barn 90% in the easement. So you couldn't extend that road and build a subdivision behind it because she figured someday you guys would do it. And I can see it now. And you're going to put 640 cars past my property. And we have nesting owls that they've been tracing since 1975 to 80. I've had the all guy come here, pick up owl puke or whatever you want to call it, take it to the Idaho thing to see how they're breeding, making sure, because there's not many of them left. The more traffic you put past that, the more those owls will be extinct and we won't have them again. You will have killed them off and they won't be breeding again. And there's very few of them left. These big, beautiful white owls. I got to watch them mate 2 weeks ago, which I thought was cool. I've never seen barn owls mate. I'm working with the Historical Register, National Historical Register, to find out the regulations to fix the barn. I was going to put a cat and dog rescue in there because Star and Middleton have nothing for feral pets. I became a nonprofit because I love my community. I don't want 320 homes. I could see 10-acre lots back there, but this 320 is bull crap. We moved out there to be a community together, know our neighbors. That's not getting to know your neighbors. There's going to be crime coming with it. There's going to be dirt coming with it. There's going to be more traffic. I take an hour to get to work in Boise when it used to take me 25 minutes. And now I have to wait 15, 20 minutes to get on the highway, State Highway 44. And this isn't fair to the people that really love our community. Yes, Hunter Homes does a beautiful job, but they didn't think of the people that live in the community here already. Make it 10 acre lots or 5 acres. We won't have a problem. It's the density of it all. And it's filling up the lakes that were originally there so they can build some other lakes. Why not leave the beautiful preservation there that's already there and work around what you have, not what you don't have, because this is our history. If we tear it down and throw it out, we don't remember it anymore.
About 10 seconds, ma'am.
Just think of us as a community. That's why they're all here, because they love you guys and they love this community. They don't want all these people coming in and ruining what we love the best about Star, the
Okay.
small town feeling.
Thank you. Miss, what we got now? Is it Chris? Castrell, did you want to speak? Okay.
We moved out to Star from Boise.
Say your, state your name and address.
Chris
for the record.
Castile, 22318 Blessinger Road on the corner of Blessinger and Highway 44. We moved out to get away from the city. We moved out to get away from all the homes side by side or on top of each other. And our purpose was to come out and be a part of the community. We have built that property up. I don't know if you've seen what we've done to that property, 5 acres. We've done a lot there, and we have we put a warehouse on there to sell fireworks and things out of there. But a barn is the main thing we wanted to look at. We have a nonprofit organization for dogs and cats because there is nothing out here in Star Middleton, and that's our next project. And I hate to see something happen to that barn. I don't think, like my wife said, we're looking at the historical landmark project of that and seeing what we can do about that. But my question was, annexation to the city is just for these homes, right? Or are they trying to incorporate everybody into the city, including us?
Just their property.
Just their property. Okay, that was one thing I didn't understand. So wanted to clarify that. So anyway, I just like to point that out and I appreciate it. And it's nice to see a small town like this get together and communicate like we do.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Bruce Bain.
Mayor, City Council, staff, citizens of Star. I'm a Public Works Director for City of Middleton, 1103 West Main Street. I'm here because City of Middleton was not notified on this project at all. As you all know, City of Middleton has gone through the proper procedures with Canyon County. We have our area of impact, goes all the way over to Canada Road. City of Star does not have that. City of Middleton vehemently objects to the River Park subdivision annexation and all other annexations in Canyon County that are inside the City of Middleton impact boundary area, past, present, and future. Please note that the facts are as to be part of the record, please. The subject property is within City of Middleton's area of impact per the attached map, as agreed to with Board of Canyon County Commissioners, which is the governing board of this area, as it's in Canyon County, as required in State Code 67-6526. I'm going to read a little bit of this code. This has already been done a couple of times, but I want to just put my point across here. It says, the governing board of each county and each city therein shall adopt by ordinance following the notice and hearing procedures provided in section 67-6509 Idaho Code, a map identifying an area of city impact within the unincorporated area of the county. A separate ordinance providing for application of plans and ordinances for the area of city impact shall be adopted. As far as I know, City of Star has not done that. City of Middleton has. This is our map. We have an ordinance with Canyon County. Understand that Mayor Chadwick and Mayor Rule have met, and I really appreciate that. City does trying to come up with a line that we can all agree on. That has not been done to date. And, you know, the city would really like that to be done. Anyways, with no impact area established as per state code, and City of Star may not annex any adjacent territory within the governing boards. Canyon County is the governing board adopted by an ordinance. City of Middleton questions if all required government agencies were notified for this public hearing because we were not. City of Middleton retracts its previously submitted comment letter dated April 16th and wants to replace it with this letter. I'll stand for any questions.
Okay, any questions?
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen?
Mr. Bain, thanks for showing up tonight. How is it that you cannot be aware of STAR's area of impact boundary?
Because
It's publicly
where's your map?
available on our website.
Where's your map? Where's your agreement with Canyon County?
So he's.
Where's your ordinance?
Referring to an area of impact within Canyon County
Correct.
is what he's.
That's what the
referencing.
statute says. It says the governing board of each county. Okay, that's the very first thing it says. Do you have an agreement with the governing board of that county?
I don't know.
No, you don't. I know the answer.
But you stood here and said we don't have an area of impact. I represent to you. we
Through
do
this,
have an area of
through this
impact.
agreement, that's how that area of impact is done, not by the STAR unilaterally deciding what your area of impact is. It reads through the whole code. Yeah, and I'll trust that after this meeting, you can read that code and maybe
I've
understand
read the
it.
code.
Yeah.
So are we, so we have an area of impact. We have a comp planning area as well. So we have two different things. And there's two different codes that have been referenced all night on
Yep.
this. So so we'll have to take that under advisement.
Thank you. Can I pass the letter off to
Okay,
Bonnie? Thank you.
thank you. Okay, then we're going up to Miss Diane Broadhead. Kind of put a line or a check halfway in between two things. State your name and address, ma'am, please.
My name, excuse me, my name is Diane Broadhead. I'm at 22010 Blessinger Road in Star. And the first thing I would like to see it be developed as an R2 as opposed to R3. But this, we're in that little kink that was referred to up there at the start of.
This one right here?
Yep.
Okay.
We have a not just a little under a third of an acre. And you can see that road is detrimental to our health and safety. First of all, I'd like to request that improvements be made on Blessinger Road, including sidewalks prior to construction due to health and safety issues caused by increased traffic. Request a privacy fence to be constructed on Blessinger Road side of our property line. A berm or fencing where privacy is compromised surrounding our property, and necessary safeguards in place to prevent any problems that would impact our property caused by an increase in elevation. Ensure that development will not affect our well or our septic leach lines, which will be impacted. Electric is currently overhead, assuming utilities will be underground. How will that impact us? We need assurance that our electricity will not be interrupted. And we will not be held liable or responsible for any storm drains or culverts. And that's about it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Is it Balu? Herb? Sorry. I did screw it up one time. Please state your name and address, sir, for the record.
I will. I'm Irvin Ballou, 433 Reen Place in Eagle. Thank you, Mayor, Council, for giving me the opportunity to talk. I'm here representing Flood Control District Number 10. I serve as Senior Project Advisor and Assistant Manager of the district. And I think, Mr. Nichols, did you have a letter from Mike Dimmock? We did get a copy of your notice of public hearing. And I'm just here to make a couple of requests on behalf of the Flood Control District. We have certain charges underneath the Idaho Code when the Flood Control District was formed. And the most noticeable is we're charged to protect and promote health, safety, and general welfare welfare of the people of the state in doing so within the boundaries of the flood control district. For that, a couple things that really concern us is number one, didn't get in our letter, but is access to the river where we can get in to do maintenance and whatever. Did not see that in the plans that we got, at least to scale. I don't know if that's been provided for or not. One noticeable thing is when we do get access, we also share that access with police and fire for rescue and whatever else needs to be done. And we normally put a gate or a lock, a cable or something on our access so it doesn't become an overall public access, because we need to bring big equipment in when we do that. And as you know, that every year we go down the river and do selective cleaning and whatever. The other thing is, it was mentioned that we are developing what we call a 2D model. And in doing so, we can provide a real service to the cities and counties along the river, because that model will be very accurate, and we can predict where the water is going to go at just about any flow you can come up with. And so when there's changes to the floodway, it be a very valuable tool. Second thing that I'd like to mention is that we have put together a form. We like to have the developers submit to us. It's for land use changes and site development. And we take that, and with the additional information that we request with it, we do a fairly comprehensive review of how it's going to affect the river and the floodway. And so I think a copy of that was provided for Mr. Nichols, and we would invite you to have the developer fill that out and submit it to us.
Okay, you have about 10 seconds, sir.
Okay, that's it. Thank you very much.
All right.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilman Keys?
So I just, can you clarify, you were talking about access to the river. Did I hear you that you're looking for access to the river through this particular property?
Yes.
And are you looking for that for a truck, for a boat launch? What kind of
Well,
access? Are you thinking?
it could be all of the above. We just need we need to usually get in with like a track hoe. Bring a track hoe in on a flatbed, unload, load, whatever. We're losing access and becoming very difficult for us to. One of the problems is you can't just put a piece of equipment like that in the river and just go wherever you want, because all of the work that we do is approved by the Corps of Engineers, Department of Water Resources, DEQ, Fish and Game. We have very strict permit requirements we have to do. So if we can't get access to the river for debris or gravel removal or bank stabilization, then we're in bad shape. And the landowners are likewise going to suffer. That's the problem that we have.
So is your access that you need it from inside the river or from up on the bank?
From up on the bank. We need to be able to drive down to the river, unload the equipment, and egress and access, or access and egress the river to do maintenance. So every time we can get a point of entry, that helps us.
Okay, and have you had any conversations with the applicant about this up to this point?
Have not.
Okay.
We have, and we would have that as soon as we get the application submitted to us for review.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, any further questions? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Mr. Tim Eck.
Good evening, Mayor Chadwick and council members. My name is Tim Heck. I live at 6152 West Half Moon Lane in Eagle, Idaho. I'm currently the owner of the Star River Ranch subdivision, as you all know. I've met with Boise Hunter Homes at the neighborhood meeting with concerns over the wetland preservation that we have, and they have modified their plat to accommodate protecting the wetlands. As you can see at the bottom right corner there, the lots are swung over to preserve the wetland that runs through there. So I greatly appreciate that. We've spent a lot of money in our subdivision, millions preserving that wetland, and I'm glad that they're on board with preserving it and protecting it as well. We have one connection to them in our subdivision. It is Bigwood Way, and I think that is their, yeah, that's it. That's their connection to us. I've only asked we try and look at traffic calming there to mitigate the traffic flow. We will be their secondary point of ingress and egress until something else occurs, but their primary point being on Blessinger should help to mitigate traffic that will come through Star River Ranch. So the traffic calming would be beneficial. I've spoken to Mr. Hunter about that, and he's amicable to doing that. Development's coming. Everybody's coming. We got every national builder in the nation hovering or buying land here. I'm ecstatic to see this low density on this property, because if not them now, give it 5 years, you're going to see someone come in here, buy that land, and it's going to be a lot higher density. It's just, we all know it's coming. So I'm glad to see the low density. I think they're what, 2.1 per acre. I consider that low density compared to what it could be. 20 acres of lakes is a amazing amenity, and another 25 acres of green open space is another great amenity. So I support the subdivision. I think it's a very nice product, and I've seen a lot of Boise Hunters product. Their homes are very attractive. Definitely upscale homes. I'll stand for any questions.
Any questions? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Did you want to ask Tim possibly about the connection of the green belt?
Oh, that was brought up earlier?
Yeah.
Can you answer the question there, Mr. Heck, about the connection of the Greenbelt to their Greenbelt to your Sportsman's Access?
It's an interesting question. We've got a flood control District 10 easement all the way across our southern boundary. And we do have an easement agreement with Fish and Game for hunting and fishing. It's a very limited access. That Greenbelt pathway goes across our property and then terminates. It will stop at our east boundary. I don't see it ever going further because you'd have to go through Mr. Iupati's residence to go beyond that. So we're close to what will be, I think, the eastern terminus of that green belt. I don't know how you're going to get down there. The access through our property or their property and then going west from that point is one thing, but to go through our property to the east, it dead ends. So I don't know where it would go. It does get everybody to the gravel bar. That's what the whole point behind the Fish and Game access was to allow hunters and anglers to get to the 40-acre gravel bar out there for hunting and fishing. Over the years, other recreational activities that have taken place have decimated the property. Kids back there four-wheeling, destroyed the levee. We had several hundred feet of the levee completely washed out in the high waters of 17. And it was because of the uncontrolled activity of four-wheelers back there, four-wheel drive trucks. We would barricade it off. They'd come in with snow plows on their trucks and push the rocks around and go spinning their tires through it. And the ruts got deeper and deeper. And then when that flow came through, the water makes the river. The water just wiped out that levee for several hundred feet and had to be restored. So we do have a sportsman access. It's not a full access. It is an easement for hunting and fishing, and will be open very shortly. We're waiting for Fish and Game. They're going to put some gravel down. We hope to record in a week or two when the landscaping's finished and have some sort of official opening ceremony. And but it will be limited access because it stops there. It doesn't go beyond that.
So let me ask you a question about flood district 10.
Mhm.
Would they be able to access their property, this property that's under consideration from that access where you're at?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we have an easement with Flood Control District 10. We have 100 by 100-foot turnaround area for their low boys to pull into and drop off and unload. We have a barricaded access to the easement. At their request, it was barricaded with rock instead of bollards because it's easy to move rocks with an excavator. And bollards aren't, you can't pull them out with an excavator. Once they're up on the levee, at that point, they would be at their property boundary. And right now there's a fence across there. And the only thing we ever go through there is to try and pull out some of the beaver dam that causes the water to back up. But Flood Control District 10 does have access there and all the way across our south boundary. But, you know, I've worked with Flood Control District 10 a lot. And when they drop that excavator in the river, they can't just go everywhere. So multiple accesses is necessary for them.
Okay.
So.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that's all that signed up to speak. We got the applicant can come up and rebut.
Mr. Mayor and council, just wanted to try to address some of the issues that were brought up by the public. As far as there was a question raised 26 feet wide for Blessinger Road. Where did that number come from? That number actually came from Canyon Highway District. They're the ones that provided us with that condition of approval, and that their staff reports included in the packet. The offset of Blessinger, we do have a plan to, John McLeod brought that up. We do have a plan for that. We'll go to slide key number 4 on our other slides. Which one? Go down to the 4th one or last one. No, go back. That one. So it was brought up the offset on Blessinger Road. So that was we had a discussion with Canyon Highway District about that. The issue is that the northern leg of Blessinger is located to the east of the southern leg of Blessinger. And so that causes some turning conflicts there. So what we have shown on this exhibit is actually how we can align that intersection completely within the existing right-of-way, not impacting the barn that you see on the east there. This is located within the existing right-of-way that Canyon Highway District asserts that they have there, and we can realign this intersection within the right-of-way to bring it into compliance. This would be an interim solution because, as we discussed before, and as you see in the packet, the comments from Idaho Transportation Department, they're actually going to come in later and reconstruct this entire section of Highway 44 here, which would also realign this intersection. That's where our proportionate share of $210,000 comes in, is to reconstruct this. So this would be an interim solution to fix that situation at Blessinger Road, the offset right there. Questions brought up about the historic building. We're not touching that building. The right-of-way, the improvements that we'll be doing to Blessinger Road will be to the west of that. There was mention about culverts in Blessinger Road. Canyon Highway District also has some conditions of approval in their report that we must abide by that address those culverts and crossings. So we'll comply with those conditions and we'll work that out with Canyon Highway District. We've been in discussions with them. The collector road, the east-west collector road that runs along the northern portion of the property, we originally did not have that located there. And then once we got comments from the Canyon Highway District, we did a quick redesign of our northern portion of the project to accommodate that road and construct all of it within our property. Normally, when this when you see an alignment of a collector road on a future streets map, that is shared by the two property owners to the north and to the south. However, Canyon Highway District notified us that the existing homes to the north, or the existing structures to the north, the Dobbins property, and then also Miss Broadhead, that their property is too close to that alignment. And so we've actually swung that road, collector road, down, and we're constructing all of it within our development. Normally, we would only construct half of that. And then when the other properties to the north develop, they would construct the other half, but we're building all of it on our property. There was some discussion about traffic on State Street. Again, State Street, Idaho Transportation Department is addressing that with their plan to reconstruct State Street, and they have a pathway for that. We're contributing our proportionate share to those improvements. As far as the dirtiness of the green belt, we hope that the citizens of Star will take care of the green belt down along the river and treat it well, and we're sure that our residents will do that. Again, the barn, shouldn't be impacting the barn. The roadway that we'll be widening is within Canyon Highway District's existing right of way. Many of the other issues that were brought up address the annexation. I don't know that I need to get into that too much. I did, just as an aside, former employee for Boise City. I worked for Boise City as a senior planner for 13 years. I can't count how many annexations that I processed for the city of Boise. I don't know that we ever notified Ada County when an applicant was requesting annexation into the city of Boise. The laws are much different when the city is forcing annexation, and Boise City may be the only city in this valley that actually actively goes and forces annexation of properties. And I processed many of those, and those are not fun hearings either, as you can imagine. So just to conclude, we're in complete agreement with your city engineer, your city attorney, relating to the issue of annexation of this property into the city of Star, as well as our attorney that has looked at it. We are in full agreement that we are in compliance with not only the state code, but also the city of Star code. And again, I think as far as the access to the river for the flood control district number 10, we will just need to meet with them and figure out exactly what it is they are looking for to see if we can accommodate that. I don't know that that we can. We have not planned on that. And it seems like if there is access to the river directly to the east of us, that they could access the stretch of river that our property abuts in that location. I think that is all that I have for rebuttal of things that were brought up that need to be addressed. I can answer any other questions that you all may have for us.
Any questions of the applicant?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Keys.
can you address Irv Ballou's concerns about flood control number 10 again and access to the river?
Yeah, it appears that they're wanting some sort of access to the river. I'm not sure exactly what kind of access. I'm gathering that it's some sort of paved or gravel access to the river, that they can get heavy machinery down there. One of the things that would kind of destroy the view or the aesthetic that we're going for with this River Park subdivision. One of the reasons why we named it River Park subdivision is because of the wonderful park that is down on the river. And if we have to provide a large gravel or paved access to the river that they can use heavy machinery to get down there, it somewhat destroys that. However, and again, stating that, if Star River Ranch to the east of us has provided that access in very close proximity. We're hoping that that access will be sufficient for them to get in and do any maintenance that they need to do along the river for our property. Again, and there are properties further down to the west of us. I'm not sure if the Leighton Lakes project provided that same type of access to the river for flood control District 10 at their property. But I guess hopefully that answers your question. We would prefer not to do it. We think it would destroy the ambiance and the look and the feel that we're going for our subdivision down along the river. But if it's a requirement, then it's a requirement.
But it seems to me that it would be in your best interest to want that bank maintained, just to manage the flooding issue, which I think is their purpose and their intent. So I think at a minimum, we need to fill out their application, get with them, see where those accesses work, and if there's a requirement to get something down there, I don't think you need to put in an ugly access, but I think some accommodation is probably in order.
Mayor, Councilmember Keys, we'll definitely fill out the form and work with them and see what kind of solution we can come up with.
Okay, and then we heard a lot of comment tonight, public testimony about concerns over the density. And there were several people here who said, gee, we really wish this could be an R2. Would you guys consider going from a 2.1 to a 2?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Keys, I briefly discussed that with Travis to see that would cut out 19 lots from this subdivision if we went to an R2 from an R3, or from, it's basically cutting out 0.1 units per acre. That would cut out 19. We really would prefer to stay at where we are at, but I guess I'll leave it at that. We would prefer to. We think that the density that we're proposing is in conformance with not only your comprehensive plan, but also with the other developments located in this vicinity. If you look at your comprehensive plan, there's also along State Street, you have that property classified as a commercial / industrial corridor, intended to have commercial or industrial uses along that corridor. Usually this property is not located that far from State Street, which is, as we've all heard tonight, is a very heavily traveled road. And if developed as the City of Star sees it and intends for it to be developed, we'll have commercial or industrial uses there. Generally, when commercial property is located, residential property is located this close to commercial development, generally you see higher densities in those areas. And so we feel that what we've proposed is kind of a happy medium between very low density and some of the higher density that you typically see around commercial development. So in our opinion, what we've provided is in compliance with the comprehensive plan that the City of Star has, and is in good keeping with what the future plans of State Street holds for this area.
Okay. And then on the new plat that you submitted to us with Landreth Lane shown in there, I see you've rotated some of those homes that abut the neighbors there, and it looks like there's some common area between the homes and Landreth Lane. And would you be willing to put, I can't really tell what the dimension is, but some significant berming and landscaping there to help shield the view of those homes from those neighbors?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Keys, I am assuming you're talking about the north side of what will be Landreth Lane.
I'm actually talking about the south side of Landreth Lane that abuts those homes in that common area there.
Yes, I believe what we,
in the north.
Yeah, I believe what we have shown there are 20-foot landscape buffers between the collector road and those lots. And so, yeah, we will do as tall a berm as we can on those common areas, and put in landscaping to act as a shield or a buffer to those properties to the north.
Okay.
Just real quick there, Councilman Keys, how about to the north side of that lane?
We'll need to look at it, Mr. Mayor. We'll need to look at it and see. We're trying to fit this road in and keep our density where it was at. And so if we move it to the south, I think we can move it a little bit to the south and still be able to get some landscaping on the north side. One of the things that's interesting about this is this being a collector road is it is intended, I believe, to provide access, maybe not direct access to the lots to the north, but if we go in and put a fence and a berm and landscaping, then that prevents that property to the north in the future, whenever it may come. The Dobbins may not plan on developing that property, but in the future, we believe that property will be developed, and that will limit the ability for them to bring access or streets off of Landreth Lane to the north. So we'll do the best we can to at least get some fencing in there and some landscaping, but I don't know how much further to the south we can move the future Landreth Lane. But we'll do our best to get it in there.
Okay, and I also read the Canyon Highway District number 4 report about that 26-foot road. That road is really going to function a lot like a collector. Do you really think 26 feet's enough, regardless of what they say? Realistically,
Mr. Mayor and Councilmember Keys, as our development progresses along, again, in the long range, probably not, but as our development continues to develop, I think it will function. We won't have a significant number of lots in this development that would be using Blessinger Lane for many years. That will actually add a detriment to that road. The property located directly to the west of Blessinger is open, and we are assuming will be developed in the future as well, especially the way that development is occurring in this valley. So as we met with Canyon Highway District, because our property doesn't directly abut Blessinger along its entire length, that's why we've been conditioned to improve it the way we have. Their feeling is that whenever that property that's located directly to the west of Blessinger develops, then it will be their responsibility to improve that roadway. But I think Travis can maybe shed a little light on that as well.
Yeah, Mayor Chadwick, Councilmember Keys, we're happy to make that road wider as long as we have a prescriptive easement to do so. Or if we don't have to go acquire neighboring property that we can't, we're happy to make it wider.
okay, thank you. Mr. Mayor, that's all I have for now. I may.
Okay. Any
revisit
further
this.
comments or questions to the applicant? Now's your chance.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilwoman?
so if you were to reduce the number of lots by 19 to get to that R2, would you be able to then meet the setback that we have in our current code, or would you need the waiver?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Salmonson, I think we would still request the waiver for that because we would be, my guess is what we would do is we have, like I mentioned in our presentation, we have a certain number of 81-foot wide lots, 65-foot wide lots, and 55-foot wide lots. Our product that we develop generally has 5-foot wide side setbacks on all of those different lot sizes. So what would probably happen is the reduction of the smaller lots, and we would make more of the wider 81-foot wide lots in there. So we would still need that reduction in the setback to be able to accommodate the product that we currently build and have been successful in building throughout the valley.
Thank you.
Okay, any more comments, questions of the applicant? Now's your chance for the staff.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Keys.
I'm going to ask the applicant to take those 19 homes out. I'm willing to vote to approve this tonight with some additional conditions, but I think that's going to be one of them for me. And I want to make sure that they're on board with that in exchange for an approval for a vote for me tonight.
Okay. Any comments?
Yeah, I mean, it affects the economic picture pretty significantly, but if we could get the waiver on the side yard setbacks, that would save us money and a lot of redesign of product that we've already have designed and successfully bidding, et cetera. And that would be a comparable solution.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Any further comments of the applicant? Or staff?
Mr. Mayor, I've.
Councilman or Councilman Sean?
I won't get the votes. Part of the application and the applicant request was for waivers of the block length of 750 feet. That was included in my staff report. So if you do make a decision to approve, please include that in your motion that you will be approving those block lengths. Thank you.
Okay. Any further comments, questions?
Can I ask a question of staff? At this point?
Absolutely.
Okay. So do we have an ordinance establishing the area of impact?
What?
Right? I mean, isn't that what
We do have an area of impact,
Yes.
and it's on the Ada County side. It's on the line. Canada Road is the line.
Uh-huh.
So we do have an area of impact. Now, if your question is, do we have an area of impact in the Canyon County side? There is no area of impact going on the Canyon County side.
We have an adopted comprehensive plan land use map, which is what you're reviewing.
Right.
With this application on the Canyon County side.
And Jennifer, that's a separate process altogether, is the annex or the area of impact agreements with the varying counties and cities, and then whose ordinance supersedes whose, but it actually is the county ordinance that is agreed upon. It's a process where Canyon County or Ada County says, these are the ordinances that we will enforce within the area of impact. They may be the city ordinances or the city standards, but they become the county ordinances in that area of impact. Does that make sense? No, I know it's clear as mud.
For land that's not annexed.
For land that is outside of the city limits, yes.
It helps to establish the baseline of control and that for, like, if something was to develop in the county, then those ordinances would apply to that development. It's not annexed into a city, it's a county development.
Okay. You have more questions? Yeah.
So the gentleman that started reading all of the stuff, that does not apply to this.
Chris is online. You can ask Chris. Chris, are you there?
I am here.
Did you hear Miss Jennifer's question?
Yeah, so I did. Yes, sorry, that sounded a little flippant. I didn't mean it that way. Yes, I did hear the question. So as we talked right at the beginning of this public hearing, there are obviously the city is required to have an area of impact, which it does have. It is in Ada County. The Idaho Code Section 50-222, when you read the code section that everybody's referencing in Title 67, it says subject to Idaho Code 50-222, you have to have that area of impact before you can annex. But 50-222, which is the controlling statute, says that you can annex outside your area of impact as long as it is contiguous and your comprehensive plan covers the land that's intended to be annexed. And so that's why I don't want to say that what they've read is not relevant or anything like that. It does apply to annexations. It applies to the area of city impact. As city staff has already described, it's a different process. The area of city impact agreements are those that is, and just in your most immediate discussion here, they set a map, so a boundary of your area of impact, and then the agreement says what happens to property that's being developed in the county that's also in the city's area of city impact. And as J-Mac was just saying, I think it was J-Mac, maybe it was Sean, but just saying that you can decide whether or not the city ordinances apply or the county ordinances apply. And you may have some other agreements with the county that when property is being developed in that section, what happens. Some cities in Ada County, the agreement is that if anybody wants to bring a development to Ada County, but it's contiguous to a city, they have to try to annex into the city first and develop in the city. If the city says no, then the county will look at it. So those are the types of things that would be in an area of impact agreement. The area of impact agreement does not really govern whether or not a city can annex the property or not, because the city decides whether or not it wants property in its city. And on a voluntary annexation, which we have tonight, the state code is clear that you do not need to be in the area of impact if you want to voluntarily annex into the city, as long as you're contiguous and you're within the comprehensive plan. And so it is, there's no doubt, there's a lot of detail back and forth. There can be a lot of confusion, and no question. And I think reasonable minds probably can, differ on what approach they want to take to all of this. But where 5222 is, in my opinion, the governing statute for annexations by the city, and it says specifically that you can annex outside of your area of impact, then to me, the city has met those standards tonight.
Thank you very much.
Any follow-up questions to Chris? Okay, any further questions of staff? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and we're going to move on to council deliberations.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Hershey.
Thank you. First off, I want to state for the record, there's one thing I didn't hear. That Boise Hunter is a bad builder. Didn't hear it from anybody, even from other developers. That is reassuring in a lot of ways. And also, I brought up density early on in this deliberation because I believe honestly that 2.1 is a low density. It really is. Maybe for the area, it may not look like it, but trust me, 2.1 is low. However, since they are amenable to going to a density of 2, I'd like to see that. But I also would like to see what that looks like before I am completely sure to buy off on it. The reason I say that is I would like to see more of where exactly you want those setback waivers to be. I just want to see that. I realize you make a very quality product. I think the evidence is there, but it's just one thing that I'd like to see a little bit more is where exactly those would be in an R2 type situation. And therefore, I'd be willing to table this for that purpose alone, which means we'd have a very short next public hearing. And after hearing what Chris said is twice about the annexation, I do believe we are well within our rights. However, if we do table and Middleton or the Canyon County want to engage in discussions, that would allow them the time, but it would put the ownership on them to act.
Okay, any further deliberation?
Mr. Mayor.
Motion, Councilman Keys.
I think the applicant has made a few concessions here. They've agreed to an R2 density. They've agreed to allow the public access across their HOA property, the Greenbelt. They've agreed to buffer the south side of Landreth opposite the Dalvins, which I think helps protect the Dalvins' interest. I think basically the laws at hand will protect the Broadheads' interests, but of course I would ask and would expect to be respectful of their interests. I have no reason to believe they wouldn't. And I think we're per our attorney. I tend to follow my attorney's advice. I think we're on solid ground to move here, so I'm in support of accepting this application and approving it tonight with those conditions.
Okay, any further comments?
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman Nielsen.
So I'd like to apologize specifically to Mr. Bain for asking a question that was somewhat on the attack. I think it's incredulous to me that I mean, we obviously have an area of impact, but Apparently that was a little bit different context. So apology offered. What I should have asked is if he or anyone in the city of Middleton had consulted the attorney for the city of Middleton about his opinion on the matter. At any rate, I agree with my fellow colleagues up here and appreciate the concessions that the developers made here tonight. And I'm going to go ahead and move that we approve this application in its entirety with the stipulations set forth that have already been discussed and have been recommended by staff, waivers for the setbacks and the block length.
Zoning? You can leave the zoning the same at 2.1 or 2.0?
I said the application in its entirety.
Okay, I
Yes.
just want to clarify.
Yep. Zoning at 2.0.
So,
Like we talked about.
2.0.
Yep.
okay, 2.0.
That'll be down to an R2.
Yes.
Okay, so we got a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I just want to make sure we're clear on R2 zoning. We're going to add to the development agreement, public access across the HOA property to the greenbelt. Buffer on the south side of Landreth, opposite the Dalvins. A waiver of the block length requirement and allowing the 5-foot setbacks.
Okay, we got a motion and a second with clarification. Is that what you're intending there?
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I still would just like to see it. I mean, I completely agree with everything that's been said here. I'd like to see it. So with that motion, I'd have to disagree, but it's only because I just want that extra assurance. However, in
Councilman Hershey, I apologize. What do you mean by you want to see what those setbacks look like?
Well, I want to see what this would look like. Because it's going to change if you reduce the density.
So
that's just all I'd like to see. I don't disagree with everything that's been said. I don't disagree with the concessions that have been made. I just wanted to see it.
But I don't think that map shows us the setbacks though.
No, it doesn't.
part
That's
that
one thing I would like to see is where exactly they mean. I mean, it looks like it would be mostly on the
Well,
side.
so from the discussion that the applicant had, they want the setbacks on all of it,
Right.
not just on certain size lots, but on all of it.
Yeah, I just worry about being compact, no matter how nice the house is, making them look like they're on top of one another. That's my
Councilman Hershey,
concern.
if we specified that those 19 lots have to be of the 55-foot variety that are excluded, does that help out?
I mean, remove, make sure, speak in my terms and it's after 9:30, so you know how I get. I can't. If those 19 were of the 55, that would reduce the 55 lots by about 15%, correct? I'm just looking at people. Just, I mean, I can't ask questions, but I'm
That's
trying.
more like arithmetic than math.
No,
so
but-
I can't.
Well, I'm just saying, I understand that the way these houses are built, they're gonna need, and they've justified that some of these setback waivers are valid, quite valid. I've had applicants where I've asked reduce the density. In fact, I ask that all the time.
Yep.
And I've had applicants where I've asked where exactly or limit it to this section. That I'm just not seeing. I'm used to seeing that. I like seeing that. I'm not seeing that. However, in my heart of hearts, do I think that this is bad? No, I think it's a good application, but I would like to see that. If you all want to move forward with it, that's what you do. But I just would like to see it. If you could stipulate it's the 55, I feel better about it because I know those are the ones that are most likely to be affected by the setback waiver.
Right.
Okay, would you want to modify?
I don't know how to modify it to say that though.
Do you want to modify your motion?
Well, one thing I don't want to do in that is I'm thinking about it. You know, you say they all have to be of the 55-foot variety. Those may be scattered throughout and that may create a bigger problem than what we're trying to prevent. So I would probably feel comfortable stipulating that half of them, at least half have to be the 55-foot variety.
Are you updating your motion?
Well, I'm just trying to make Councilman Hershey feel a little better here.
Oh, I don't feel bad, Councilman Nielsen. I don't
Then
feel
my motion
bad at
stands.
all. Your motion stands as is, or 55, or at least half?
If you don't feel bad, then my motion stands.
No, I don't feel bad. I don't take this personally. This is business.
So are we modifying the motion for half of?
But it would make me feel better, but I don't feel bad.
Councilwoman?
If you-
Mayor Chadwick, can I?
Council-
can I say
Councilwoman.
Something also.
Hang on, Councilwoman Jennifer's got the floor.
Thank you. I feel like we've talked about a lot of things tonight and a number of things, conditions or things we want to see added and agreements. I don't want to, I like the project, but I feel like it might be rushing it a little bit. And I don't want to lose some of the conditions or something, because we're just moving them forward. So I am hesitant about voting yes tonight because of that.
So what?
So maybe if we could have the conditions read again, what we're including, just to make
Sean,
sure that they're in there.
do-
Or do you go back and listen to the tape? Is that how you do it?
Yeah, I've got a pretty good idea of what you're looking for. I can try to read it back to you.
But yes, they do review the tape to clarify everything as well.
If you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Great, thank you.
So I have a condition that to provide buffer on the south side of the Collector Road. That includes a berm and landscaping. Unclear about if you still wanted fencing on the north side of that road. That you didn't state that.
That wasn't part of the stated motion.
Less 19 lots and an R2 zoning designation. A waiver of the setbacks, and what I heard is a blanket waiver of all the setbacks throughout the subdivision. Public access on the green belt. I'll say it to a property. Okay, and I think that was all
Block length.
Waiver of block length. Oh, yes, waiver of block length. Sorry, thank you.
Also to work with flood control district number 2 for
10.
access, or 10, sorry, for access
And wider roads.
and widen Blessinger Road if possible.
That wasn't part of my motion, but I'm willing to amend the motion to include both of those. Not specifying an outcome for flood district 10, just that the applicant work with them.
So I'll put widen Blessinger Road per Canyon Highway District number 4 allowances within the right of way.
Well, actually, their allowances are a minimum of 26 feet. I think we were looking for something wider.
Okay.
But only on the condition that they didn't have to acquire additional right of way from other from adjacent landowners.
Okay.
And then I've got one that that was in my report, we didn't discuss, and that's given the let's complicate this further. Given the uncertainty of the green belt and Mr. X testimony, we had once discussed a possible pathway along the northern irrigation ditch. I believe that the applicant had submitted a letter or email from the flood control board.
That was the Canyon flood.
The Canyon
The Canyon folks that said they do not want a pathway on
You might want to still have a condition on there that if that can be worked out with the district, that we could get a easement across that to act as a pathway east and west.
Yep, I agree to that.
Okay.
And I think if I can get a nod from the.
So did he cover everything on there?
That covers my list.
Okay, so
Mine as well.
restate your motion with those
So
conditions.
I amend my
Clear.
motion to include the conditions that were just discussed and presented.
And I amend my second accordingly.
Okay, we got an amended motion, amended second. Any further discussion?
Now I think about it more, I'm just happy to have it down to an R2. And re-reviewing the architect they're using, I think they really are going to be very quality homes. In fact, I don't think I could afford one of them. But, and that would be back even in 2010's market. But yeah, because each one is unique and that means custom built. It may not be actually possible to do what I'm asking. However, with the reduction down to R2, losing 19 lots, that is something that I definitely would like, because R2, it's a good fit there. It's not, it could, and it's true, it could be a lot worse. It could be, they could have come in at R5. And R5, it would have been the high end of what we asked for, and R2 is the absolute low. So with everything stated, the berms, the everything, I'm okay with it.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. We have a motion and a second on the table. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Okay, we're gonna move on to item 8A, approval of ordinance and development agreements. We'll give it a few minutes here for people to clear out before we move on. Hey, thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. Yes. Oh, sorry, let me pull that up here too. If we get everybody to clear out to the hall for me, that'd be great, so we can continue on with our meeting tonight, please. Thank you. Okay. Hey, Chief, can I ask you to push everybody out for me? And shut the door, please, and nicely. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
They didn't answer phone calls for Chad Bell. How about Chad?
Come in, it's still open. If you want to come in and listen to the rest of it, you can sit. That's fine.
We'll have our full attention.
I've actually been the only one in there.
All right, so that's right. So we're gonna move on to item 8A, the approval of ordinance and development agreements. We have ordinance number 329 on the docket.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Keys.
I move that pursuant to Idaho Code Section 50-902, the rule requiring an ordinance to be read on 3 different days with one reading to be in full be dispensed with, and that ordinance number 329 be considered after reading once by title only.
I second that.
We got a motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Roll call vote. Nielsen,
Aye.
Solomon,
Aye.
Keys,
Aye.
Hershey.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Keys.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve ordinance number 329-10040 West State Street annexation. An ordinance annexing to the city of Star certain real property located in the unincorporated area of Ada County, Idaho. More specifically at 10040 West State Street, Ada County, parcel number S04084388955 and contiguous to the city of Star. The property is owned by Northwest Development Companies LLC, establishing the zoning classification of the annexed property as Central Business District with a development agreement, CB-DA of approximately 0.93 acres, directing that certified copies of this ordinance be filed as provided by law, providing for related matters and providing for an effective date.
I second that.
We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I'm gonna do a roll call vote on this too.
Hershey,
Aye.
Keys,
Aye.
Solomon,
I,
Nielsen.
Aye.
That motion carries. Okay, on to item 9, reports. We're gonna forego those reports because of the lateness of the evening, and we'll just go to those on May 4th. Is that okay? All right. And then on future meeting topics, just for everybody's awareness, we've got approval of a floodplain ordinance that we've been working on with FEMA. Coming up, I think, in hopefully the next hearing, May 4th. With that said, I appreciate everybody's time tonight, and we're gonna adjourn at 10:15.
Have a good night, everybody.